कर रहे हैं आईपीएल 2021 के इस मुकाबले का चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स वर्सेस मुंबई इंडियंस के बीच में 30वां मुकाबला बस कुछ ही लम्हों के बाद शुरू होने वाला है और दोनों ही टीमें एक बार फिर से वहां पर आमने सामने होगी। दोनों ही टीमों में एक से बढ़कर एक क्रिकेट के जाने माने धुरंधर, जाने माने खतरनाक बल्लेबाज और गेंदबाज आपको देखने को मिल सकते हैं। जसप्रीत बुमराह, रोहित शर्मा और वहीं पर चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स के पास रविंद्र जडेजा, महेंद्र सिंह धोनी, सुरेश रैना, दीपक चहर। तो वहीं पर मुंबई इंडियंस में ईशान किशन, क्विंटन डिकॉक और हार्दिक पांड्या, कुणाल पांड्या, दोनों ही पांड्या पावर्स का बल्ला भी किस प्रकार से चलता है और गेंदबाजी में किस प्रकार से कमाल करते हैं मुंबई इंडियंस के लिए, वो भी देखना बड़ा दिलचस्प रहेगा। बस कुछ ही लम्हों का इंतजार और वहां पर आईपीएल का मेगा इवेंट एक बार फिर से शुरू होने वाला है दुबई में।
और यहाँ पर प्रवीण मीना जी कह रहे हैं सबसे ज्यादा चेन्नई को मुंबई ने हराया है आईपीएल में। हाँ, वो बात सही है। तो इसी वजह से तो हमने कहा है कि ये 31वां मुकाबला है और यहाँ पर 12 मुकाबला चेन्नई जीता है और 19 मुकाबला जो है वो मुंबई इंडियंस टीम जीती है। तो क्या आज भी वो एक कदम आगे रहती है या नहीं, या फिर यहाँ पर आज वो हारती है? तो वही तो चीज़ हमें अभी थोड़ी देर में पता चलेगी। और जितने भी यहाँ पर है वो मतलब सब लोग अभी आज मुंबई इंडियन टीम्स को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं कि भाई आज एमआई जीतेगी, एमआई जीतेगी। तो यहाँ पर हमें एमआई के सपोर्टर्स बहुत ही ज्यादा दिखाई दे रहे हैं।
क्रिकेट मैक्स प्रो बोल रहे हैं कि फाफ डू प्लेसिस खेलेगा। बिल्कुल, फाफ डू प्लेसिस काफी धुआंधार बल्लेबाज है। मुंबई इंडियंस विन दिस मैच। राहुल ललवड़े जी बोल रहे हैं कि मुंबई इंडियंस इस मैच को जीतेगा और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स को हार का सामना करना पड़ेगा। लेकिन क्रिकेट जो कि अनिश्चितताओं का खेल है, जिसमें कुछ भी कहना, रिजल्ट से पहले कुछ भी कहना खतरों से खाली नहीं है। हमें इंतजार रहेगा टॉस का, हमें इंतजार रहेगा प्लेइंग 11 का टॉस के बाद, और हमें इंतजार रहेगा कि क्या यहां पर मुंबई इंडियंस से एक बार फिर से चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स का जो इतिहास है, जो मुंबई इंडियंस के सामने लगातार ज्यादा जीत मिलने का, उसको बरकरार रख पाएंगे या फिर इतिहास के उलट चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स को वहां पर जीत मिलती है, वो देखना बड़ा दिलचस्प होगा। आप जल्दी से जुड़ जाइए हमारे साथ और इस मैच का आंखों देखा सुनने के लिए। बहुत जल्दी ये मुकाबला शुरू होने वाला है।
जी हाँ, बस थोड़ी ही देर में अभी मुकाबला शुरू होगा। मतलब अभी सिर्फ गिनती का वक्त बच चुका है और काफ़ी अच्छी तरीके से यहाँ पर आज की मुकाबले की तैयारी यहाँ पर हो चुकी है। तो देखते हैं कि आज के इस मुकाबले में कौन जीतता है और कितने स्कोर बनाता है और क्या वो उनका फैसला आज का जो सही साबित हो पाता है या नहीं हो पाता, हमें यही देखना होगा। तो बस थोड़ी ही देर में वो भी इंतज़ार ख़त्म हो जाएगा और हमें पता चल जाएगा कि क्या होता है।
बिल्कुल, हरपाल सिंह जी बोल रहे हैं कि सूर्य कुमार यादव को लें या हार्दिक पांड्या को। मेरे हिसाब से हार्दिक पांड्या का तो स्थान जो है वो फिक्स है, लेकिन ईशान किशन की जगह पर अगर सूर्य कुमार यादव को मौका मिलता है तो निश्चित तौर पर वो भी एक बेहतरीन और आईपीएल के जाने माने बल्लेबाज हैं और वो भी अपनी बल्लेबाजी से कमाल कर सकते हैं। रामावतार कुमार हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं, बोल रहे हैं कि मुंबई विल विन। समीर तड़वी जी क्रिकेट मैक्स प्रो लगातार धोनी के मैसेज हमको कर रहे हैं। हरपाल सिंह जी बिल्कुल मैंने आपके सवाल का जवाब दे दिया है। सूर्य को भी लो, बिल्कुल ईशान किशन और सूर्य कुमार यादव या इन तीनों में से एक बल्लेबाज खेलेगा या इन तीनों में से दो बल्लेबाज खेलेंगे, ये पक्का है। लेकिन किसी एक को तो बाहर बैठना होगा क्योंकि और भी बहुत सारे वहां पर बैट्समैन है। सूर्य कुमार यादव, ईशान किशन और क्विंटन डिकॉक, इन तीनों में से एक बल्लेबाज को ही मौका मिलेगा क्योंकि आप रविंद्र वहां पे हार्दिक पांड्या को बाहर नहीं बैठा सकते। आप वहां पर रोहित शर्मा जो कप्तान है उनके साथ साथ सलामी बल्लेबाज के रूप में भी जिस प्रकार की शुरुआत किस प्रकार से मिलती है, ईशान किशन आते हैं ओपनिंग करने के लिए या क्विंटन डिकॉक आते हैं, वो कहीं ना कहीं सारी परिस्थितियां देख करके रोहित शर्मा इन तीनों में से किसी दो बल्लेबाजों को शामिल करेंगे। लेकिन हमें इंतजार रहेगा टॉस, और टॉस के बाद किस प्रकार की प्लेइंग 11 वहां पर उतरती है इस मुकाबले के लिए, वो देखना दिलचस्प रहेगा।
और यहाँ पर प्रवीण मीना जी जो है वो कह रहे हैं, मतलब वो काफ़ी एमआई के सपोर्ट में मुझे लगा दिखाई दे रहे हैं कि वो बोल रहे हैं कि मुंबई ने फाइनल में बहुत ज़्यादा बार चेन्नई को हराया है। हाँ, वाकई जिस तरीके से हराया है, तो इसी वजह से आज भी यहाँ पर देखना होगा कि क्या आज यहाँ पर फिर से उसको हराते हैं या नहीं हराते। और इसी के साथ मैं यहाँ पर मेरी जगह पे बुलाना चाहूँगी तन्वी मैम को। तो तन्वी मैम भी उनके जो थॉट्स है वो शेयर करेंगे। तो प्लीज़ तन्वी मैम, कम हेड एंड शेयर योर वर्ड्स विद अस।
बिल्कुल, एक बार फिर से सभी दर्शकों का स्वागत है। नमस्कार, सब लोग और बहुत समय से हम सब इंतजार कर रहे थे जिस लम्हे का, वो अब लम्हा बिल्कुल करीब आ चुका है और आईपीएल एक बार फिर से शुरू हो चुका है। 30वां मुकाबला 29 मैचों पर खत्म हुआ था, वहां पर आईपीएल का दौर एक बार फिर से आईपीएल का कारवा। अब वेन्यू जरूर चेंज हो गए, मैदान जरूर बदल गए हैं, दुबई पहुंच चुका है आईपीएल का कारवा और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स वर्सेस मुंबई इंडियंस के बीच में यहां पर 30वां मुकाबला होगा आईपीएल 2021 का।
बिल्कुल, थैंक यू सो मच शनन मैम, थैंक यू सो मच नरेश सर और गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी। सभी का एक बार फिर से स्वागत है हमारी चैनल पर। जल्दी से जिन्होंने लाइक नहीं किया है एक बार लाइक कर दीजिए, शेयर कर दीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए। और आज का ये फाइनल मतलब हमारा जो वेट था वो कंप्लीट हो चुका है और फाइनली आईपीएल शुरू होने वाली है आज से। और ये पहला मुकाबला सीएसके वर्सेस एमआई के बीच में, तो मैं तो सीएसके को सपोर्ट कर रही हूँ। आप कौन सी टीम को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं सर?
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल, मेरी जो फेवरेट टीम है मुंबई इंडियंस है और आज मुंबई इंडियंस इस मुकाबले को जीतेगी क्योंकि लगातार जो चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स के खिलाफ मुंबई इंडियंस का जो परफॉर्मेंस है, जो रिकॉर्ड है, वो कहीं ना कहीं बेहतर दिखाई पड़ रहा है। तो इसीलिए मुंबई इंडियंस का पलड़ा है जो भारी नजर आ रहा है इस मुकाबले में।
बिल्कुल सही बात है, लेकिन ये कोरोना की वजह से डिले हो गया मैच, नहीं तो ये सीजन में मुझे सीएसके का पलड़ा भारी नजर आ रहा था। रविंद्र जाडेजा क्या पारी उन्होंने खेली थी लास्ट मैच में, बहुत ही बढ़िया। अगर वो बरकरार रहा होता तो डेफिनेटली फाइनल सीएसके जीत सकती थी, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं, आप एमआई को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं। मतलब मैच में भी हमें वॉर देखने को मिलेगी और यहाँ भी हमें वॉर देखने को मिलेगी क्योंकि ये सर एमआई को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, हम लोग सीएसके। तो जो भी यहाँ पर कमेंट बॉक्स में सीएसके को सपोर्ट कर रहा है, जल्दी से मेरी साइड लेकर जल्दी से कमेंट बॉक्स में यहाँ पर शाउट आउट दे दीजिए सीएसके के लिए। और यहाँ ये मुकाबला होने वाला है दुबई इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट स्टेडियम में, तो देखना होगा कि वहाँ की पिच बैटिंग पिच ज़्यादा है, सॉरी बॉलिंग पिच है वहाँ पर। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर टॉस जीत कर कौन सी टीम क्या चूज करती है, ये देखना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होगा। और उस पे ही 50% तो रिजल्ट हम उस पे ही प्रेडिक्शन कर सकते हैं कि जीतेगी या नहीं जीतेगी। तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि सीएसके टॉस जीतकर फर्स्ट बॉलिंग चूज करें।
बिल्कुल, जी हाँ, सीएसके जो है वो टॉस जीतने के बाद बॉलिंग चूज करेगी तो निश्चित तौर पर थोड़ा सा परेशानी में डाल देंगे मुंबई इंडियंस को। लेकिन वही पिच का जो हाल है, पिच का जो मिजाज है, वो कहीं ना कहीं गेंदबाजों को बहुत ही अच्छी मदद मिलती है उस पिच से। आउटफील्ड थोड़ा सा धीमा है, गेंद जो है वो फील्ड के बाद पड़ने के बाद काफी धीमी रफ्तार से जाती है बाउंड्री लाइन तक। लाइन पर तो निश्चित रूप से आपको बड़े शॉट मारने पड़ते हैं, आप ग्राउंड शॉट बहुत ही कम खेलने को मिलते हैं वहां पर। दुबई की ग्राउंड की बात करें और पिच का जो मिजाज है वो लगातार सपाट पिच है। आप जसप्रीत बुमराह की बहुत बढ़िया गेंदबाजी देख सकते हैं, आप सामने वाले छोर से दीपक चाहर की भी बढ़िया गेंदबाजी देख सकते हैं, और चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स की ओर से जॉस हेजलवुड भी अच्छी गेंदबाजी कर सकते हैं। तो देखना बड़ा दिलचस्प होगा। और ये जो दोनों टीमें हैं वो आईपीएल की सबसे प्रबल दावेदार टीमें हैं। हालांकि दिल्ली कैपिटल्स भी बहुत ही अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस कर रही है, लेकिन इनकी जो रिकॉर्ड से आंकड़े हैं वो इन दोनों के पक्ष में जा रहे हैं और ये दोनों टीमों का बीच में ये शानदार जबरदस्त मुकाबला बहुत जल्द शुरू होने वाला है।
बिल्कुल, बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा दोनों ही टीम के बीच में ये मुकाबला। महेंद्र सिंह धोनी और एमआई के जो यहाँ पर खिलाड़ी है बहुत ही, वो भी अच्छे हैं, वो भी बहुत बार फाइनल जीत चुकी है, बहुत बार मात दी उन्होंने सीएसके को। लेकिन ये आईपीएल की शुरुआत में हमें सीएसके का पलड़ा भारी नजर आ रहा था, बहुत ही बढ़िया। वहाँ पर कप्तानी महेंद्र सिंह धोनी की ओर से हो रही थी और सभी प्लेयर बहुत ही अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस ये सीजन में कर रहे थे। लेकिन यहाँ पर कोरोना की वजह से जो ब्रेक हमें मिल चुका है, तो देखते हैं ये ब्रेक खत्म होने के बाद आज का ये मुकाबला देखना होगा कि दोनों ही टीम में से कौन से प्लेयर आज उतरने वाले हैं मैदान में और क्या प्लेइंग 11 स्ट्रेटजी रहेगी दोनों ही टीम की। और सीएसके की टीम की अगर बात करें तो धोनी बहुत ही बढ़िया कैप्टन है, तो देखते हैं उनकी बैटिंग लाइनअप, बॉलिंग लाइनअप किसको भेजते हैं। वो बॉलिंग के लिए स्पिनर्स को ज़्यादा भेजते हैं या फास्ट बॉलर को ज़्यादा भेजते हैं, ये देखना होगा। तो पिच के हिसाब से सर आपको क्या लगता है कि स्पिनर ज़्यादा काम आने वाले या फास्ट बॉलर?
पिच के हिसाब से तेज गेंदबाज यहाँ पर अपना कमाल दिखाने वाले हैं। वही मैं बात कर रहा था, जसप्रीत बुमराह का आप कमाल देख सकते हैं, उनकी यॉर्कर और यॉर्कर से ज्यादा आज जो पटकी हुई गेंदबाजी करेंगे, बाउंस डालेंगे, वो देखने का मजा आएगा। और वहां पर कितना डिफेंड कर पाते हैं जसप्रीत बुमराह को चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स के बल्लेबाज रविंद्र जडेजा, महेंद्र सिंह धोनी और फाफ डू प्लेसिस। और वहां देख सकते हैं आप क्या ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ को मौका मिलेगा वहां पर चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स की ओर से, वो भी देखना बड़ा दिलचस्प होगा। जसप्रीत बुमराह का क्या प्लान रहता है, वो किस बल्लेबाज को अटैक करते हैं, किस बल्लेबाज को टारगेट करते हैं और कितने विकेट ले पाते हैं अपनी बाउंस से, अपने यॉर्कर से।
बिल्कुल ये सही बात है सर आपकी। और देखते हैं यहाँ पर थोड़ी ही देर में मुकाबला स्टार्ट हो जाएगा चेन्नई सुपर किंग वर्सेस मुंबई इंडियंस। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर हमें इंडिविजुअल वॉर कौन से प्लेयर को बीच में देखने को मिलती है और यहाँ पर कौन से प्लेयर अपनी टीम के लिए आज बहुत ही बढ़िया प्लेइंग करने वाले हैं। तो ये तो मैच शुरू होने के बाद ही पता चलेगा, अभी तक प्लेइंग 11 हमें पता नहीं है, आते ही हम आप लोग को बता देंगे। और बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स एक बार फिर से है हमारे साथ, सभी का एक बार फिर से स्वागत है हमारी चैनल पर। जल्दी से जिन्होंने लाइक नहीं किया है एक बार लाइक कर दीजिए, शेयर कर दीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और एक बार फिर से आप जिस टीम को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, जिस प्लेयर को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, एक बार कमेंट बॉक्स में हमें बता दीजिए। और कुछ सजेशन अगर आपकी तरफ से है हमारे लिए तो भी आप कमेंट बॉक्स में कमेंट कर सकते हैं।
बिल्कुल प्लेयर्स की बात करें तो अब तक का जो सफर रहा है आईपीएल 2021 का सबसे बेहतरीन प्लेयर जो सामने आए हैं, सबसे हाईएस्ट रन जिन्होंने बनाए 380 रन, शिखर धवन जो कि दिल्ली कैपिटल्स के लिए खेलते हैं, ऋषभ पंत दिल्ली कैपिटल्स के कप्तान है, उनकी कप्तानी में शिखर धवन खेल रहे हैं। तो वहीं पर दूसरे नंबर पे केएल राहुल पंजाब किंग्स के प्लेयर हैं जिन्होंने 331 रन बनाए अपने 7 मैचों में। दूसरे नंबर पे हैं फाफ डू प्लेसिस जो कि चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स की ओर से खेलते हैं, उन्होंने अभी तक 7 मैचों में 320 रन बनाए हैं। पृथ्वी शॉ जो कि दिल्ली कैपिटल्स की ओर से खेलते हैं, उन्होंने अभी तक 8 खेले गए अपने मैचों में 308 रन बनाए हैं। और संजू सैमसन जो कि राजस्थान रॉयल्स के कप्तान हैं, जिन्होंने अभी तक खेले गए 7 मैचों में 277 रन बनाए हैं। यानी कि 3 जो बल्लेबाज हैं शिखर धवन और पृथ्वी शॉ, जो 2 है वो दिल्ली कैपिटल्स के और फाफ डू प्लेसिस जो आज खेलेंगे चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स की ओर से। तो देखेंगे कि किस प्रकार से वो उनकी बल्लेबाजी देखने को मिलती है। वहीं विकेट टेकर गेंदबाजों की बात करें तो सबसे हाईएस्ट हर्षल पटेल आरसीबी के विकेट सबसे ज्यादा विकेट लेने में सफल हुए हैं अपने खेले के 7 मैचेस में। 17 विकेट लेकर के सबसे हाईएस्ट विकेट टेकर गेंदबाज हर्षल पटेल है। दूसरे नंबर पर आवेश खान है जो कि दिल्ली कैपिटल्स के गेंदबाज है। 8 मैच उन्होंने अभी तक खेले हैं इस सीजन में आईपीएल 2021 में और 14 विकेट लेने के साथ ही वो दूसरे नंबर पे है। क्रिस मॉरिस राजस्थान रॉयल्स के गेंदबाज 7 मैचेस खेले अपने इस सीजन में और 14 विकेट लेने के साथ वो दूसरे सबसे हाईएस्ट विकेट टेकर में आवेश खान के साथ में। राहुल चार की बात करें तो उन्होंने अभी तक 7 मैच खेले हैं मुंबई इंडियंस की ओर से इस सीजन में और 11 विकेट लेने के साथ वो चौथे नंबर पे हैं। और राशिद खान जो कि सनराइजर्स हैदराबाद के गेंदबाज है, स्पिन गेंदबाज है, अफगानिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम के सदस्य हैं, वो 7 मैचेस उन्होंने अभी तक खेले हैं और 10 विकेट लेने के साथ वो 5वें नंबर पे है।
बिल्कुल बहुत ही बढ़िया। यहाँ पर आपने सर जिस तरह से बताया कि विकेट लेने के लिए हर्षल पटेल सबसे पहले नंबर पर है, सबसे ज्यादा विकेट उन्होंने लिए, लेकिन सीएसके के सामने रविंद्र जाडेजा ने जो पारी उनके सामने खेली थी वो आप मत भूलिएगा, सीएसके उन पर भारी हो सकता है। तो देखते हैं आज सीएसके में से कौन से प्लेयर किस बॉलर पर भारी होने वाले हैं और सीएसके के कौन से गेंदबाज यहाँ पर विकेट ज्यादा से ज्यादा लेने में कामयाब होते हैं। और यहाँ पर महेंद्र सिंह धोनी की बात करें तो 350 मैच अभी तक खेल चुके हैं और 10,700 से ऊपर उन्होंने रन बनाए हैं। भले लास्ट मैचों में उनका परफॉर्मेंस हमें कुछ खास नजर नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन उनकी कप्तानी पर कोई शक नहीं है, वो कप्तानी हमें बरकरार हमें देखने को मिल सकती है सीएसके की ओर से। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर उनका क्या स्ट्रेटेजी रहता है अपनी टीम को जिताने के लिए। आईपीएल में शुरुआत बहुत ही अच्छी हुई थी सीएसके की तरफ से, लेकिन यहाँ पर आज ये ब्रेक हो चुका है। तो यहाँ पर जिस तरह से स्टार्टअप हमें देखने को क्या मिलता है, सीएसके वर्सेस मुंबई का आज पहला मैच, ये सीजन का ब्रेक होने के बाद पहला मैच आज हम देखने वाले हैं दुबई में, दुबई इंटरनेशनल स्टेडियम से। तो देखते हैं वो पिच कौन सी टीम को फेवर कर रही है, टॉस जो कौन सी टीम जीतने वाली है और टॉस जीतकर जो फैसला वो करने वाले हैं तो वो फैसला उनके लिए फायदेमंद साबित होता है या नहीं।
बिल्कुल। और एक नजर डाल लेते हैं हाईएस्ट स्कोरर की कि इस जो सीजन जो घटा है 2021 का आईपीएल का सीजन, जिसमें 29 मैच अभी तक खेले गए हैं, जिसमें हाईएस्ट जो 3 सैकड़े लगे यानी कि 3 शतकीय पारी खेली है, उसमें 2 बैट्समैन हैं वो राजस्थान रॉयल्स के हैं, जोस बटलर जिन्होंने हाईएस्ट 124 रनों की पारी खेली थी और सबसे ज्यादा रन बनाने वाले आईपीएल 2021 के बल्लेबाज रहे हैं। और संजू सैमसन कप्तान राजस्थान रॉयल्स है, उन्होंने 119 रनों की पारी खेली थी, हालांकि वो मैच जरूर हार चुका था राजस्थान रॉयल्स। और तीसरे नंबर पर है देवदत्त पडिक्कल जिन्होंने रॉयल चैलेंजर्स बेंगलोर की ओर से खेलते हुए 101 रन की पारी खेली थी और मयंक अग्रवाल पंजाब किंग्स की ओर से खेलते हुए 99 रनों की पारी खेल रही थी। हाईएस्ट स्कोरर बनाने में, निजी स्कोर बनाने में वो चौथे नंबर पे हैं। और फाफडू प्लेसिस जो कि चेन्नई सुपर किंग्स की ओर से खेलते हुए 95 रनों की पारी खेली थी, वो 5वें नंबर पर है हाईएस्ट स्कोरर में।
बिल्कुल सही बात है। और यहाँ पर अगर रोहित शर्मा की बात करें, मुंबई इंडियंस के जो कप्तान है, वो भी बहुत ही अच्छी बल्लेबाज है और बहुत ही ऑलराउंडर का प्लेयर बोल सकते हैं उनके लिए। 227 मैचें उन्होंने अभी तक खेली है और 9200 से ज़्यादा रन उन्होंने बनाए। तो देखते हैं आज की मैच में उनकी स्ट्रेटजी क्या रहती है अपनी टीम को जिताने के लिए। एमआई तो वैसे भी फर्स्ट नंबर पर है ही, बहुत सारी फाइनल भी उन्होंने जीती है आईपीएल में। तो देखते हैं आज ये मैच में क्या कमाल कर सकती है सीएसके के सामने। और आज जो ये आईपीएल जो 2021
he can be a plunderer of bowling in this particular format, and a strike rate of over 150. Preston would tell you that. Obviously you would see a lot more of George Munsey, but his statistics are remarkable.
ये देखना होगा।
बिल्कुल। और बेस्ट बॉलिंग फिगर्स की बात कर ले तो आंद्रे रसेल
as we take a look at the Scotland team, just one change today, reverting back to the winning 11 from the first international. Chris Soul comes in for Gavin Main, bit of extra pace.
Was that an understandable change for you, Preston, in the lineup?
I think so. I think that was probably predicted, the change in the second game. Chris Soul, they'd like to manage his workload. He's just coming back into the international frame. Strong lad, working back to full fitness. He looked good in that first international, so he's a real asset for this team, and I think they'll be managing that workload.
Well, interesting too, because the solitary change in the Zimbabwean lineup is the introduction of Blessing Musarabani, who's certainly, in terms of honours and whatnot, the star attraction. Bowls at a good pace, but the man with the ball in his hand really has been the star of the show right throughout the Ireland T20 series and into this series, and a very worthy winner of the Man of the Match award second game. And that's the reason why, Preston, he just has the ability, particularly with the new ball, to be able to get that ball swinging back into the right-hander. And of course, as any right-handed batsman will know, you never quite know where your off stump is, do you?
Yeah, encouraging signs there. Just a hint of swing back towards the right-handed Kutzer. Also good pace, just rushing Kutzer a bit there. Obviously, both batsmen very watchful early on here. But Zimbabwe, once again, giving no freebies to the Scotland batters.
Yeah, that's good running. That's good running from Scotland. You've just got to try and keep that scoreboard ticking over. And it's been a challenging start for Scotland. Zimbabwe right on the money from the word go, has to be said. And they're applying pressure to two players who haven't had scores in either of the previous two games. And this is good from them.
It is good from them. I don't think Scotland will be too concerned. I think what's key for them is to strike that balance between scoring and obviously playing conservatively and not losing wickets in the power play, of losing 4 wickets apiece in the previous 2 internationals. Again, good pace from Ngarava. Kutzer flashing away from his body there.
Not a huge amount of foot movement there from Kutsia. And again, that's just a sign, when your feet aren't moving as a batsman, it's always unnerving. It's nearly in your subconscious, really. You just want to feel that bat on ball, get going, get the ball to the rope for the first time.
I guess that is the tricky thing about T20s, is it's different to 50 overs in that you can, if you are short of runs or you've had a couple of lean games, you can probably afford to stick in and take a few overs and find the feel of the ball on the bat. T20, obviously, you need to get going from the get-go, but I like the way they've approached this thus far. both of these batsmen are certainly good enough to catch up if they're there 10, 15, 20 overs.
And that again is another top-class over from Richard Ngarava. He's been on top form right throughout this, young left armour. And I was only speaking again to David Houghton off air, but I'm sure there'll be people looking at Richard Ngarava at the back end of this series. Of course, YouTube, Cricket Scotland production, this in association with Wolf 77. And it's great to have the pictures to the people of Scotland. Obviously, there's only very few who can come into the ground for COVID reasons, but lovely to be able to watch their team at home. Live pictures brought to you by HPV Studios.
Yeah, isn't it great seeing so many people at the ground today? Definitely a different buzz to the first two games. It's obviously a Sunday. People got their time off and have come and joined us at the Grange. Lovely dry day for us. Should be an exciting prospect.
Yeah, interesting. Blessing Musarabani tends to push the ball across the left-hander, Preston, so they've shipped third man down to the boundary, brought long leg into the circle in the first and the third of these 6 power play overs. And I think you'll be very interested in watching Blessing Musarabani, proper bowler.
Bit of width there for Munsey, and I do wonder whether this might play into Munsey's hands, just that change in angle and going across him, allowing him to free his hands as he likes to play, whereas Jatara is bringing the ball back into him, bowling a real tight line.
Well, one of the things in the Ireland series, obviously, you know, when you've got a bowler leaving the ball go from about 11 feet, he didn't attack, for my money, the stumps enough. Took Bold and LBW largely out of the equation, and you could be absolutely right there, Preston. That angle of going across George Munsey could suit him.
Yeah, and this is where your analysts are so important in preparing for games, understanding what to expect. It's his first game in the series, so can't afford to take too long to get used to it. Pulled away by Munsey, not convincing. Maybe a bit of extra bounce there, and extra pace. Gets the one.
And collected by, for my money, the best fielder in the Zimbabwean team, Mazakadze, who of course bowled that thrilling last over. 4 wickets fell in that last over, Preston. And it obviously involved 2 run-outs, but it was an extraordinary finish to the second game. And obviously in terms of the series, 1 each, it brings us this real thriller now for the winning side to win the series.
It's well bowled again, just coming back into Kutsa. Now been 15 balls without a boundary, so it's a great start from a Zimbabwe perspective. I think we could expect Scotland to be watchful today, coming out having had 2 poor displays in the power play.
Well, there's so much a better unit with Musarabani in the side. He struggled a wee bit with injury, we're told. But it doesn't look that way right now. Zimbabwe have been on the money from the word go. An excellent opening from them. This, as you say, Scotland without a boundary now in 15 deliveries, 16 deliveries in fact.
Yeah, I think they've had clear plans here, as you say, different fields to different batters, and happy to change the field for different balls. And so far the bowlers executing accordingly. Skipper will be a happy man.
And that's most probably going to be the first boundary, and it certainly is. That area and arc that Muncie likes so well. Williams signalling 4, and 4 it is. So it's the first boundary, 17th ball of the contest. And no surprise, that's the area that Muncie goes, Preston.
Absolutely. He's not quite got hold of it, but he set himself up, went back deep in the crease.
Oh, that's an even better shot. And you can hear the gasps in the crowd, every one of them to him. A man and woman shot, George Muncie. That was a thing of beauty, Preston.
Yeah, that's bread and butter for George Muncie. Absolutely loves it there. Big scoring area for him. Any sort of width. And far more fluent in that stroke play. Good signs for him. 2 back-to-back boundaries and just giving a bit of impetus to this power play.
Yeah. And again, if we take, the 2 games we've had to date into consideration, totals, one talks about being winning totals. Well, in both games, really, we felt side batting first hadn't got enough, but it was proved different, and scoreboard pressure was key. But now 14 without loss after 3 overs.
Yeah, and I think a theme from those first 2 games was overs 10 to 20 scoring seemed far more easier, shall we say, than the first 10. So if you take a view on wickets in hand and having a platform at least to build from overs 10 to 20, I think you got a much better chance of getting that score 150, 160 plus.
And that will make Kyle Coetzee feel a little bit easier. Working with the line of the delivery, was able to work it away on the leg side. And of course, only 2 fielders there. And once he found the gap, it was always going to run away for 4. And that's what it duly did.
Yeah, just front foot out the way, opened up the angle for him. Let the hands flow through the ball. Encouraging signs for the skipper here, encouraging signs for Scotland as well. Runs beginning to flow a bit more freely.
Now that was a good bit quicker, Preston. Chikadva taking that high above his shoulder, and I don't know whether he's possibly done something to a finger here. He looks in a bit of distress. Yeah, he certainly is shaking that left hand of his. That was a lot quicker. Probably the quickest ball he's bowled today, Angarava.
Coetzee certainly had a full go at that as well. He had connected. Interesting shot from Coetzee again. He's looking like he wants to get on with things. Grava again, bowling that length. Coetzee, I think, feels he can get on top of that.
Well, the one thing we could see here, there doesn't seem to be a great degree of foot movement. And you just wonder where Ngarava is going to go next. Perhaps a little bit fuller might be the option for him, as Craig Irvine ships Mazakadze out to deep square leg and comes on the leg side himself. And that's going to be the end of Kyle Coetzee. Never really settled, did the skipper. And Ngarava, well, there's a bit of afters there. We don't know with George Muncie. Why there would be, I don't know. But it's the end of the skipper, Kyle Coetzee, giving himself room, and the extra pace has just gone straight up in the air, and the easiest of chances for Chikadva.
Ngarava, I think he deserves that one. He's bowled nicely again up top here, giving the Scotland batters nothing. Kyle Coetzee possibly targeting that shorter boundary. Grava stuck to his length. Didn't get swayed by Kutsa's movement at the crease. Nicely done by the keeper there. Brings in the new man, Ollie Hez. Also short of runs in this series. Falling first ball in the previous fixture. Cutting one straight to point.
Well, it was interesting. Again, Dave Houghton was talking about in the previous game Zimbabwe bringing in a similar type player, and talked about a left-right hand combination. And of course, there's left-hander who struggled throughout the series too. So it'll be just interesting to see how he goes today, Preston.
Bit of aggression from Ngrava. That's the end of the fourth over. Scotland 18 for 1.
Can't beat a little bit of afters now and again, Preston. You could clearly see there was energy in that for Ngrava. I still don't know whether he's having a go at Muncie.
I think he still is. It's good to see. Shows what's on the line today. Playing for the series win here.
Well, we need a bit of that now and again, Preston, don't we?
Absolutely, and I think it's from a Scottish perspective, it's great to see the guys playing with a bit of pressure, under a bit of pressure, playing for an important win. That pressure's only going to mount over the next couple of months. Important World Cricket League games coming up, World Cup qualifying group stages to get through. So all this serving good purpose in their preparation for the next couple of months ahead.
Well, interesting. Straight away, Zimbabwe reverting to Chitara. And again, bowling that tighter line.
Yeah, he's been impressive in the power plays all 3 games. Very miserly with the ball, wicket to wicket. Bowls to his field.
Well, there's a much better balance to this Zimbabwe attack now. They have Craig Irvine has the luxury of 4 quality seamers at his disposal.
Good work by Mazakadze coming around deep square leg boundary. Hayes gets off the mark. He'll be happy with that. Not quite timed as he would have liked, but falls safely.
And again, Musarabani coming up into the circle at third man, and Ngarava going to deep long leg. And this is, I think, clever from Zimbabwe. Clearly know that Chitara is going to try and get up that hip rib area of Muncie.
And just going back to talking about those right-left-hand combinations, obviously Scotland losing the wicket of Kutsa, and there is the option that they have to bring in McLeod at 3. He bats at 3 in the one-day internationals, and you wonder, reading the game, whether that might bring something different to the partnership if they can continue that right-hand, left-hand combination through the innings. It's just something that may have been thought about.
Well, again, it goes back, in the format of you want your best players facing most of the balls, don't you, Preston?
He's gone short again. Munzie gets away with that. I think it's just off the top edge. He'll take him as they come.
They all seem to be getting stuck into Muncie here.
Not quite in control, but gets away with it. Good pace again from Chitara. And well directed as well.
Well, I don't think that'll necessarily worry Zimbabwe. These sorts of things happen. If we go back to Sean Williams, the run score in the second game, very edgy beginning, if we remember.
And that is powerfully struck from Munzie. Laying down dominant stroke play there, full of confidence.
Bullied, I'd say, Preston there. Bullied that.
Yeah, he's a powerful player. Still an off stump there. He did all the work, gave himself the room. Put outside leg stump and opened up that offside and very well executed.
Of course, Now, when the ball is handled by a spectator, I see umpire Hawthorne over there with the old wipe before it goes back to Boulder Chitara, all part of the COVID regulations the world has to endure in cricket at the moment. It's lovely to watch a fielder like Mazakadze, like a panther across the ground. Great arm, never two to him. He's electric in the field as it brings us to the end of the fifth over. Scotland 28 for 1. I've been enjoying this contest so far, I have to say. Preston, it's been a great battle. First 5 overs, enthralling viewing. And you can really feel the need of both teams, really anxious to press home a series win. And important for both teams, of course. Zimbabwe lost their 5-match series against Ireland 3-2. And will be desperate to go home on the plane tomorrow with a series win, and they've started very, very well. And another bowler on now, Luke Jongwei, who's been ever so consistent throughout both the Irish series and this 2-match series so far here. Just as I say that was a rather large wide from Luke Jongwei. I'm sure he'll get his radar working shortly.
Yeah, not sure if the footwork of Munsey put him off slightly there. Munsey is using his crease quite a bit today, giving himself that room, trying to open up the offside, his preferred scoring option. Looks like he's got away with that one. Not time, but over the field. Another boundary for George Munsey. Encouraging signs, he moves to 23.
Well, again, it's hit to an area where there's no fielders, but it's a real go-to area for George Munsey. And that's an area he actually does very well. His movement around in the crease is one thing, but when he gets into the hitting zone, he's steady, Preston.
Yeah, 360-degree player, certainly. Happy to go very deep in the crease or give himself room. And another one. There we go. Too much width from Jonquet. Munsey gladly accepts, pierces the offside field and gets good reward. It's looking in good flow here.
Well, again, as you see that movement, but to his great credit, when he gets into the hitting zone, he's steady, he's still. Played that one that little bit later because that he had to reach for that. Jongwei tried to go that little bit wider.
Good comeback from Jonquet. I think what is evident though is what we had discussed about previously about Munsey giving himself time at the top, being willing to absorb, and right now runs are flowing for him. This is certainly Scotland's best power play of the 3 matches so far. Only the 1 wicket down. 37 with 3 balls to go. So it'll be much more relaxed dressing room, I would say.
Well, you're right. It shows the value of just, in one sense, getting yourself in. There's no doubt Munsey's movement is affecting Jongwei here, and his team trying to get behind him, which is understandable. But it's what has made this contest absorbing.
It's been good proactive batting in this over, and I do wonder whether it's something they've thought about and discussed and how they might approach the way that Jongwei would bowl.
Well, in terms of where he bowls and what he bowls, Muncy goes deep in the crease there and was able to get underneath that, and he's whacked it straight for 6. This is fantastic stuff from George Muncy.
Yeah, this is classic George Muncy. Solid base, head down. Golf club swing through the ball, and that is destructive. Looking ominous now for Zimbabwe with George Muncy in this sort of mood.
Well, isn't it amazing how quickly you can feel yourself back into the game? 33 now from 18 deliveries, George Muncy.
Pressure firmly shifted on Jonkwe. 16-run conceded from his first 5 balls.
Oh, that's wonderful batting, because that's even better. That has gone a long, long way from George Muncy. That's a magnificent shot.
Beautiful cricket shot from George Muncy. He's looking in a good place right now. Beautiful swing of the bat. And what a power play it is for Scotland. 6 overs, 50 for 1. To give you some sort of comparison, in the last game they were 26 for 4 after their 6. So they'll be delighted with the start today. Big game, big players, and Muncy is stepping up.
No doubt about that. Look at that, 39 from 20 deliveries, and it wasn't too long ago he was 7, or sorry, yeah, he was probably 2 from 7. But he has gone on the rampage, and Luke Johnway has felt it. 1 over for 22 so far. An impeccable start from Chittar and Richard Ngurava. But things have changed, and again it shows the value of that, as you called it, Preston, that just sitting and waiting a wee bit, getting the feel of things.
I think what it does as well is it gives Ollie Hares the chance now, who's also short of a few runs, to do exactly what Muncy did and adopt that same approach. Muncy's firing on all cylinders at the other end, so he can afford to just get off strike here, get himself in, spend some time at the wicket in the middle, and acclimatise to the situation.
Of course, out of the power play, and immediately the field has spread sweeper away on the offside, long off. Deep square leg, long leg, third man. And Musa Rabbani has a job to do here, because they'll really want to try and get Muncy off strike. He has been ever so powerful here.
Yeah, interesting to see as well the approach through this middle period. Clearly the wicket is a lot better than game 1 and 2. Coming on to the bat much better. Those shots from Muncy in the previous over certainly demonstrating that. But key will be wickets for Zimbabwe, and that'll be the only way that they can stem and maintain that flow of the run rate.
Just that little bit quicker from Rabbani. And again, obviously now has the comfort of boundary riders. But good from him so far.
I think George Muncy will keep going. That's the way he plays. Once he gets himself into a position of control, dominance, he likes to keep asserting that, applying the pressure back onto the bowler.
half parried there. Probably would have been disappointed not to stop that. Looks like Madravira there at extra cover.
Good comeback over this from Muzrabani after the assault of the previous.
That's one way of describing it, Preston. It was an assault. And this could be out. Oh, and he's misjudged it. And Garava's misjudged that. Didn't get to the ball quickly enough, and he's let it down. You can see his eyes go up to heaven. And he will feel that that is a big chance missed. Ollie Hare's there.
Certainly a definite chance. He has misread it. He hasn't come in quick enough off the ropes. And in the end, it's made it more difficult than it was.
Isn't it funny like that? You would always think, get to the ball quickly, get to the ball quickly. And that adds even more salt to the wound because it's been smashed down the ground by Hares for 4, and Musarabani not happy.
No, and final ball of the over. I was about to say one thing Zimbabwe did poorly in game 1 was balls 5 and 6 finding the fence for Scotland. As a skipper, you need to be closing out those overs, ensuring your bowler knows exactly what his plan is to execute and finish the over without that boundary.
And in terms of closing, it's my time to close and bring Davy Houghton to the commentary box for the first time today.
Hi Dave, and welcome to the Grange again for the final of this T20 International Series between Scotland and Zimbabwe. Game on.
It is. Scotland are playing all the cricket at the moment. I think it is a bit of wicket. I think a little bit of rain that we got before the game just juiced the surface up a little bit. The ball's come onto the bat quite well, but you've still got to play well, and George Mumsey's having a blinder out there at the moment. So much so that even though they've got the 4-seamers, Zimbabwe have moved into the spin department.
Yeah, and this won't worry Mumsey at all.
Madaviri didn't bowl in the first 2 encounters. He's come straight on. Perhaps the fact that there's 2 left-handers, he is the only off-spinner in the side. Well, having said that 2 left-handers, the first 2 balls he's tried to play like a right-hander. Missed them both.
And that is the way Mumsey will play. Big scoring area for him, that reverse sweep. This looks very close. Maybe a bit of spin there, just saving Mumsey. But he will be targeting that area just behind third man. Well bowled here from Madaviri. Mumsey likes to get on top of spin early.
He's got this one away. It was a full toss, but he got into the reverse sweep position very quickly and nailed it behind square for 4.
Yeah, this time perfect execution from Mumsey. Looking very relaxed to the crease today. But he's onto that in a flash and well put away. I do get surprised when teams come up against Mumsey and they're not protecting that area.
It's gone again, exactly in that area. This time might go all the way. It does. So the reverse sweep comes off again, this time for 6. I think they'll have to think seriously about putting somebody out there now.
It's such a productive area for Mumsey, and it has been throughout his career. That brings up his 50. What a knock it's been, just 28 balls. Really set the tone here for Scotland in a crucial game.
Yeah, Zimbabwe started off really well. First couple of overs of the power play, just a couple of singles and some leg byes. The next 5 or 6 overs, scores raced along to 68 now. 68 for 1 after 8 overs. Well, sorry, a ball to go. 7 overs and 5 balls. They're in a very, very good position here, and this looks like being a big score.
I just feel with all the footage and analysts you have in the game today, Munzi scores so many runs that area. How you don't start with a man straight away. Just cut off that option.
Well, he's hit it in front of square this time. Reverse sweep again, this time came right at the centre of the bat and finishes the over with another boundary. So 72 after 8 overs. It's a good start.
It's a great start, and Munzi, he's got a strut on. Always dangerous. Looks in firm control at the moment, hitting the ball exactly where he wants to, and with disdain as well.
I made some notes just on the side as the game was going along while yourself and Alan were commentating, and it just seemed to me the Zimbabweans were caught up with the emotion of the game and not really bringing their cricket to the table. Didn't think a lot, I think, in the first power play. We had fields set where the ball was being hit up and over mid-wicket all the time, and we still didn't have anybody out there at all. We were trying to protect both sides of the wicket and just expecting wickets to fall. And Scotland have played all the cricket. See, Munzi's having a day out with the bat, but it looks like they've assessed things and they've brought their game to the table. This one straight up in the air. Chikaba's underneath it. He's called for it. What a catch. What a catch. That was up in the air for a long, long time and swirling. Chikaba's made a good 40 or 50 yards to it and done the right thing, taken the catch.
Well, I'm not sure if the camera does this justice, but he had a lot of work to do. Gets halfway to the boundary, just in front of us here. Plenty to do to take the catch once he had got there. But that's a stunner. It's a crucial wicket as well, just extend the flow. Things looking very easy at that stage of the game. So good comeback for Jongwe.
Well, it's the only way Zimbabwe are going to stem this tide now is to keep taking wickets and taking them regularly. They've put down one catch. It was a tough one down at third man, but Reggie Chikaba makes no mistake with that. Outstanding keeper's catch. In-form batsman, though, Richie Berrington coming to the wicket now, so these are important overs for both teams.
Yeah, he's certainly been the standout batter of the series, runs in both games, look composed. He's been the one player who's been prepared to take time, top of his innings, and build that base. But he's got Munzi on the other side who's flying, so again, I don't see any reason for him to change his game plan.
No, it's a perfect setting for him. He can just knock it around, try and get a singular ball, just get George Munzi back on strike, and while you're doing so, you're getting the pace of the wicket yourself and getting your eye in. Would have been a much bigger crowd, I think, had we not been having to play under the restrictions. But at the moment, smaller crowd as it is, they're a very happy crowd. I think Sean Evans realised that he's going to need to put the stop to the single, so the extra man's come inside the circle for Richie Berrington. Not a good delivery. Going down the leg side, just too easy. Berrington's got an inside edge on it, really. He was probably just trying to knock it down to find leg for a single, but he's got 4 runs for it.
Yeah, as a captain, you're going to be very disappointed with that from your bowler. Newman to the crease, and it's an absolute freebie first up. Just gets him nicely settled now, 4 of 1.
That's a better line and length. That's where it needed to be first ball. He's a very good cricketer, like Jongwe. He's got all the skills as a bowler. Can hit the ball well as a batsman too, but sometimes just gets a bit carried away with them all.
Fielded by Irvin at cover. Better lines again. Tight on that off stump. Scotland in a commanding position at the moment. Whether or not they can finish this off and get a powerful, commanding first innings total. Still plenty of batting to come.
This is up in the air in the well. It's underneath Sean Irvin, the captain, and he doesn't make mistakes with catches like that. So this is an excellent over for Zimbabwe. They've got the double breakthrough. Both the in batsmen are out.
Munzi will be disappointed with this. This is quite soft by his standards and in full control of the game. 2 wickets in the over for Jongwe after the assault Munzi laid on him previously.
Yeah, it wasn't great cricket from him. The 3 boundary fielders Zimbabwe have out on the leg side, and the ball wasn't on his legs. It didn't have to be hit on the leg side. It'd been better placed to try and put the ball through the offside. But it was a great start that he's given Scotland, and he's getting a healthy round of applause on his way out.
The timing couldn't be better for Zimbabwe. 2 new batsmen in, still 12 overs to go. This really gives them a chance here to really build something and build a bit more pressure, get some dots, maybe get a couple more wickets. And all of a sudden that 180 becomes 150 and far more achievable.
Well, in the first 2 games, all the wickets fell up front, and then there was recoveries going on. It's going to be a different format today. Off to a good start, and now it's going to be about trying to take wickets in the middle. End of a very good over by Luke Jongwe. A couple of decent catches, and Zimbabwe back in the picture.
Yeah, I think what else that Munzi wicket does is means Irvin's a bit more happier to bring on spin, because Munzi certainly does like playing against spin, either left arm or the off spinners. Very powerful against both. So he goes straight to spin to the new man. Looks like it'll be Mazakadze coming on from the pavilion end.
Yeah, a little bit of a gamble, the earlier spin over that they bowled with Madaveri, but obviously the right hand off spin versus the 2 left-handed batters, they thought it was a gamble worth taking, and it was. Except Mumsy got a couple of really good reverse sweeps away, a couple of boundaries and a maximum. Mazakadze is far more skilled of the spinners.
Callum McLeod, someone who likes to get himself knocking it around, get his timing going. Extremely good sweeper of the ball. Put on an incredible exhibition against Afghanistan in the World Cup qualifiers a couple of years ago. And here he is, off the mark straight away. Wants 2, but will settle for 1. Scored a superb 100 against Rashid Khan, sweeping him for pretty much 50 overs.
I don't blame him. If you don't know which way it's turning, play the sweep. I'll tell you what I've enjoyed so much about watching the Zimbabwean team, their fielding. It's an absolute pleasure to watch. The speed across the ground, good hands, pick up and throw, generally good catching side.
Good run in the end for Barrington. Yeah, absolutely electric, particularly the boundary fielders. Make things look very easy the way they pick up the ball and the speed to the ball as well. Extremely impressive.
Zimbabwe will be trying to get through a few overs here, try and build up a few dots. Try and get a few singles only, no boundaries. It's a good time to bowl spinners.
I think that's absolutely key is the boundary count. Keep that right down now through this period. The big thing for me is ensuring that they finish their overs, get out their overs, balls 5 and 6 without conceding the boundary, which they were very guilty of in game 1.
It's just a single to end the 10th over. So at the halfway stage, Scotland 81 for 3. That was one of the things that our bowling coach at Derbyshire a couple of years ago, Steve Kirby, used to be on about all the time to the bowlers: get in and get out of your overs. That little crossover between the end of one over and the beginning of the next. And if you can keep that down around about 1 or 2 runs over the 4 or 5 balls, you had a very, very big chance of something positive happening in that over. And it was something that we played with for a whole season. And it was the first time Derbyshire had got to finals day. And we're using that as our main sort of template for our bowling side.
Yeah, it can seem like a trivial thing. Hey, what's the difference between a boundary on the 3rd or the 6th ball? But as you say, there's such a mental edge to it, and giving the batters confidence, ensuring they're getting that 7 and 8 and over if they've picked up 3 or 4 singles, and then the boundary. That's demoralizing for the bowler. And then they're going into the next over with that confidence, the boundaries under the belt.
Well, as we thought, Sean Irvin's going to the double spin. I would think more is a case of just trying to get through overs a little quicker, get some momentum into their bowling and fielding here. So it's Sean Williams bowling now from the nursery end.
I think it's a good scenario here for Zimbabwe and the skipper as well. He's got 7 overs of left arm spin. If they can do a job here, certainly dry up the boundary count.
I also think momentum is a very underrated tactic in cricket. You know, when you want to play your game quickly, when you want to slow your game down, and quite often doing the reverse of what people expect is it's got success as well. So when people are expecting you to slow it down, you're under the pump a little bit, you speed up, and you bowl your overs a little quicker, and it confuses batsmen. They can't really work out what's happening. But now is a good time to bowl a little quicker and get through the overs, I would think. Preferably without bowling halfway down the wicket slowly.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. Yes, you want to rush through your overs. But you still want to be bowling good balls and still putting the batsman under a bit of pressure. Too easy to just be knocking it around.
Very well bowled. I think it might have been an inside edge, otherwise he might have had problems there. Sean Williams is not a big turner of the ball. If anything, he'll skid it back into a right-hander.
Callum McLeod looking to get across that off stump for that sweep shot. So ball, it's a great over from Williams, just a 3 from it. 11 gone and it's 84 for 3. Just past the halfway stage here, Dave. Evenly balanced, would you say?
Well, the first 2 games, scores of 140 were winning. So I think this wicket's playing better, as we've said all along. So you're looking probably at a pass score around about 150 now. And anything above that, I think, would be very, very handy. So they're in a great position of Scotland, but I think a couple of wickets and Zimbabwe would be in a good position. So I think it is pretty much at the moment anybody's game. Both sides would be fairly pleased with where they are.
Yeah, that's it. Who can grab hold of the next couple of overs? Interestingly, after 2 very good overs of spin, yielding just 7 off the last 12 balls, they've decided to change things up.
Well, this is the reason they played the 4th seam. Obviously, Blessing's a very good bowler as well. He hasn't had a great day with the ball so far, but at this stage, he's the sort of person who doesn't get driven. So he's going to be bowling back of a length, ball arriving about between waist and chest high. It's quite hard to score effectively off. Ball's more likely to run off square of the wicket, so you've got your point sweeper and your square leg and fine legs sweeping. The ball's likely to go behind the wicket all the time, so you're cutting down your chances of going for boundaries. And I suppose at this stage, that's what Zimbabwe's looking to do. If they can get another 2 or 3 overs in of 1s and 2s, no boundaries, they'll be in quite a good position going into the death overs.
Would you not have been tempted to keep going? One more over of spin, perhaps?
There it is, short of a length, cut away, but it's a good piece of fielding by Luke Jongwe down on the 3rd man boundary, restricts it to 2. I might have been actually. I might have been keen to go one more spin, but they might do that the other over. I think Williams might carry on the far end. But I think Blessing was picked for this role, particularly to bowl in the middle of the innings. And I think that's the right time to bowl him. He's got to keep it wicket to wicket though. He can't give width outside the off stump or going down leg. That's perfect.
Nicely bowled. No width at all for Barrington to work with there. Yeah, as you say, strike bowler, now is the time. Try and break this partnership as the sun begins to come out here at the Grange. That wicket's only going to get better as this game goes on.
Too easy that. It's a leg stump and easy pickings for any batsman worth his salt.
I think what he has demonstrated though is how good the wicket is and how much better it is and the pace that he's managing to garner here. You can just tell the way that the batters are playing far more comfortable and letting the ball come on and using the pace. That cut shot from Barrington behind point, and then the way that McLeod's so easily been able to whip that off his hip.
It's the under edge, just trickles away for a single. I think that the other thing that I'm just thinking as a captain in the field, if I've got someone like Blessing Mzarabane bowling, it's a lot easier to set your field because you can set your boundary fielders behind square on both sides of the field. You know, he's not likely to get hit over his head. That's the big thing. I don't think he's a great Yorker bowler, and that's something he could add to his armoury as he grows as a professional cricketer. And you do not want to be overstepping the front line, which he has just done, which allows a free hit. Been a good over up to now, but this could ruin it. He's not played a lot on this tour, as Blessing. They have been nursing him through some concerns over a knee injury. And with that, of course, he's not bowling regularly enough, so it's no surprise that he's overstepped the mark. Excellent bowling. He's got away with it with a dot ball off the last one. 12 gone, 91 for 3. Well, just looking at that, it looks like he has got a Yorker in the armoury. He might want to use it a bit more often.
Yeah, well executed when required. I think as well something that the Zimbabwe quicks could use a bit more of is the short ball. I think it's been effective. Yielded a couple of wickets, but also just as a dot ball option as well. Scottish batsmen obviously haven't been playing much at this international standard for a while. Good few months out of it, so just to keep them fresh, also just to keep them on their toes and not expecting that sort of one-dimensional offer.
Tis Williams again from the nursery end. I think you're right with that short delivery from the seamers as well, but I don't think you'll have to ask twice for Richard Ngarava to be bowling short. He seems to quite like using his 2 per over all the time. Chatara is also quite aggressive. Perhaps Blessing could be a bit more aggressive. Oh, just as I was talking about how well we've been fielding, that one's gone straight through Sean Irvine. Chest high, was going quickly, but that's another one down.
Yeah, you really should be taking that at this level. Could be a costly miss. The informed Richie Barrington, and that's a chance.
It is a chance. It came very, very quickly, and it's at that height though that you're just not sure with your fingers pointing down and pointing up, and you get caught in between. That, I think, has gone a long, long way. It's certainly gone up a long, long way. And it's also been dropped. Well, Zimbabwe have not brought their best fielding game to the table here for this decider.
Well, Sean Williams will be thinking, what is going on here? That really should have been taken. Crucial period of the game here as well. Really just giving Scotland these opportunities.
Yeah, I'd only just a couple of overs ago saying how much I've enjoyed watching the Zimbabwe side field, and their ground fielding has been fantastic throughout. But a crucial game like this, they've put down 3 chances now, and you have to just wonder whether that's the pressure of the big game. That's a very, very good over from Sean Williams, and very unlucky not to have something in the wicket column. 96 for 3 after 13 overs. And to join me to the end, Alan Lewis.
Yeah, extraordinary how the ebbs and flows of this game have gone, and look at that, another catch going down. 2 in that over, Dave. You talked about the pressure of the game. Obviously, Craig Irvine's was very much an instinctive one, hit very hard away to his right-hand side. But that should have been taken.
It should have. I'm just not sure. I think maybe the pressure of the game, big game, decider in a little series.
I think in his only possible defence was, you won't see it from the pictures, but there's a big dip in this ground, and I'm sure he was conscious of the rope. But still, at this level, it's a catch that should have been taken. And Williams very unlucky, because that was a very good over by him. He's dragged things back a wee bit for Zimbabwe here.
Masakadze has been brought straight back into the attack and greeted with a reverse sweep. He's going to pick up 3 in the end. I'm just wondering, that's that little dip down in the outfield where the catch was dropped off the previous over. It looks like it might just be a little bit sticky underfoot as well.
Well, we did have a fair amount of overnight rain, and again, there was doubts about a start, but it's cleared, and it's actually a lovely afternoon now here.
हेलो, मैच शुरू हो चुका है और यहाँ पर आ गए हैं बहुत सारे व्यूवर्स. एक बार फिर से सभी का स्वागत है हमारी चैनल पर. बिल्कुल, और सभी का स्वागत है एक बार फिर से. और अभी तक जिन्होंने लाइक नहीं किया है, एक बार लाइक कर दीजिए, शेयर कर दीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए. और आज का ये मुकाबला होने वाला है स्कॉटलैंड वर्सेस जिम्बाब्वे के बीच में. तो लास्ट मैच यहाँ पर जिम्बाब्वे ने जीता था, तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर स्कॉटलैंड को पास एक बार फिर से मौका है जिम्बाब्वे के खिलाफ खेलने का, और देखते हैं यहाँ पर कितने रन बनाने में कामयाब होती है. स्कॉटलैंड की टीम ने यहाँ पर बैटिंग करने का फैसला किया है, तो यहाँ पर बैटिंग करने के बाद उनका स्कोर हो चला है 99 रन 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर. 13.3 ओवर जारी है और वेलिंगटन आ चुके हैं यहाँ पर गेंदबाजी करने के लिए, और देखते हैं यहाँ पर 13.4 ओवर में स्कोर पहुंचा 101 रन के साथ, और वेलिंगटन अपनी स्पेल की दूसरी ओवर डालते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं. यहाँ पर 3 विकेट जा चुके हैं, लेकिन वेलिंगटन को अभी तक एक भी विकेट लेने का मौका नहीं मिला है. तो विकेट लेने में कामयाब होते हैं या नहीं वेलिंगटन, ये देखना होगा. आइजा बिल्कुल. और यहाँ पर अगर रिची की बात करें तो 19 गेंदों में 16 रन उन्होंने बनाए हैं, और कैलम की बात करें तो 14 गेंदों में 12 रन के साथ वहां पर मौजूद है. और बिल्कुल एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर है वेलिंगटन, बहुत ही बढ़िया गेंदबाजी करते हुए नजर आ रहे, बहुत ही अच्छी गेंद थी, बाहर की तरफ आई थी और गेंद को भेज दिया है बैट्समैन ने पॉइंट की ओर, लेकिन वहां पर एक भी रन मिलने का मौका नहीं है, लेने का मौका नहीं है। 105 पर स्कोर है 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर स्कॉटलैंड का, और यहाँ पर 14 ओवर कंप्लीट हो चुकी है और वेलिंगटन ने अपनी ये 2 ओवर में 13 रन दिए हैं। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर 15वीं ओवर लेकर कौन से गेंदबाज आते हैं, और स्कॉटलैंड का स्कोर पहुंचा 105 रन पर। रिची की अगर बात करें तो 21 गेंदों में 20 रन के साथ है, और कैलम ने किए हैं 14 गेंदों में 12 रन। तो बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर स्कॉटलैंड की ओर से अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस देखने को मिल रहा है, लेकिन 3 विकेट भी जा चुके हैं, विकेट बचाना बहुत ही जरूरी है। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर 15वीं बिल्कुल, और देखते हैं यहाँ पर 15वीं ओवर लेकर आ चुके हैं बिल्कुल चटरा आ चुके हैं यहाँ पर 15वीं ओवर लेकर। यहाँ पर 2 ओवर वो डाल चुके हैं, 12 रन उन्होंने दिए थे, भी विकेट अभी तक नहीं लिया है। तो यहाँ पर विकेट लेने में एक बार फिर से कामयाब होते हैं या नहीं, तो देखते हैं। यहाँ पर चटरा चल पड़े हैं राइट आर्म ओवर द विकेट, और यहाँ पर बहुत ही बढ़िया गेंद थी, गेंद बल्ले का बाहरी सीना लगकर थर्ड मैन की ओर चली गई थी, वहां पर बाउंड्री हमें देखने को मिल सकती थी, लेकिन वहां पर बाउंड्री पर फील्डर मौजूद और गेंद को वापस गेंदबाज के हाथ में भेज दिया है, और स्कोर पहुंचा है स्कॉटलैंड का 106 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर 14.1 ओवर में। तो यहाँ पर अगर चटारा की बात करें तो लास्ट मैचों में बहुत ही अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस हमें उनकी ओर से देखने को मिला था, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं आज उनकी शुरुआत अच्छी नहीं नजर आ रही। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर विकेट लेने में कामयाब होते हैं या नहीं। एक बार फिर से चल पड़े हैं, सामने स्ट्राइक पर है रिची, और राइट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए एम्पायर को क्रॉस किया है और गेंद को भेज दिया है मिडल स्टंप की ओर, और यहाँ पर लगता हुआ एक और झटका और बहुत ही बढ़िया बिल्कुल यहाँ पर मुझे लग रहा था कि विकेट है, लेकिन एक बाउंस होने के बाद यहाँ पर गेंद गई थी फील्डर के हाथ में, तो बाल बच गए यहाँ पर रिची। एक बार फिर से है स्ट्राइक पर कैलम 15 गेंदों में 15 रन के साथ, और एक बार फिर से चल पड़े हैं चटारा विकेट लेने की तलाश में। राइट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए एम्पायर को क्रॉस किया है और गेंद को डाला है यहाँ पर लेग साइड की तरफ, और यहाँ पर बल्लेबाज ने गेंद को भेज दिया है डीप कवर की ओर। वहां पर डीप एक्स्ट्रा कवर के फील्डर ने दौड़ लगाकर गेंद को रोक लिया है, और बाउंड्रीज देखने को नहीं मिलती है। बहुत ही अच्छी फील्डिंग होती हुई जिम्बाब्वे की ओर से नजर आ रही है, भले ही यहाँ पर 3 विकेट लिए हैं, और स्कॉटलैंड का स्कोर पहुंचा 109 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर 14.3 ओवर में। और एक बार फिर से यहाँ पर अपनी स्पेल की चौथी गेंद लेकर चल पड़े हैं, और सामने है कैलिम, और 15 रन उन्होंने बनाए। एक बार फिर से राइट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर बाहर की तरफ गेंद आई थी, और यहाँ पर गेंद को भेज दिया था शॉर्ट लेग की तरफ, लेकिन वहां पर फील्डर मौजूद, दोनों ही बल्लेबाज को एक भी रन लेने का मौका नहीं मिलता है। स्कोर रुका हुआ 109 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर 14.3 ओवर में, और यहाँ पर 110 रन स्कोर पहुंच चुका है स्कॉटलैंड का। और देखते हैं यहाँ पर रिची ने किए हैं 22 गेंदों में 21 रन, कैलम ने किए हैं 17 गेंदों में 16 रन। तो यहाँ पर दोनों ही बल्लेबाज के लिए मौका, एक अच्छी सी पार्टनरशिप देखने को मिल चुकी है। और एक बार फिर से चल पड़े हैं चटारा राइट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए बाहर की तरफ गेंद थी, और बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर एक्स्ट्रा कवर की और गेंद को भेज दिया है, और वहां पर फील्डर मौजूद है। यहाँ पर लगातार दोनों ही बल्लेबाज बाउंड्रीज लगाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन फील्डिंग इतनी बढ़िया हो रही है कि दोनों ही बल्लेबाज नाकाम होते हुए। और कैलम यहाँ पर है स्ट्राइक पर एक बार फिर से 17 गेंदों में 16 रन के साथ, और रिची ने किया है 23 गेंदों में 22 रन। 111 पर स्कॉटलैंड का स्कोर पहुंचा है 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर। 15वीं ओवर की ये लास्ट गेंद डालते हुए चटारा बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर स्कूप शॉट खेलने की कोशिश की थी, लेकिन गेंद यहाँ पर डिप फाइन लेग की ओर चली गई है, और वहां पर कोई भी फील्डर नहीं है, और बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर चौका लगता हुआ कैलम के बल्ले से, और स्कोर पहुंचा है स्कॉटलैंड का 115 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर। इसी के साथ यहां पर 15 ओवर समाप्त होती है, और बहुत ही बढ़िया यहां पर बाउंड्री हमें देखने को मिली थी। लगातार यहां पर बाउंड्री की तलाश में थे दोनों ही बल्लेबाज, और फाइनली यहां पर कैलम के बल्ले से बाउंड्री देखने को मिली है। स्कोर पहुंचा है 115 रन के साथ तो देखते हैं एक अच्छी पार्टनरशिप की शुरुआत भी हमें देखने को मिली है, तो ये पार्टनरशिप बरकरार रहती है या नहीं, या तो जो भी गेंदबाज यहाँ पर आते हैं गेंदबाजी करने के लिए विकेट लेने में कामयाब होते हैं या नहीं। 3 विकेटें जा चुकी है, चौथी विकेट यहाँ पर कौन सा गेंदबाज लेकर दिखाएगा अपनी टीम के लिए, ये देखना बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है। और आप हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए हमारी चैनल पर, जल्दी से जिन्होंने लाइक नहीं किया है एक बार लाइक कर दीजिए, शेयर कर दीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए हमारी चैनल को, और सब्सक्राइब करना बहुत ही जरूरी। हम बहुत सारी मैच आपके लिए लाइव लेकर आने वाले हैं, तो लाइव देखने के लिए सब्सक्राइब करना बहुत ही जरूरी है। तो देखते हैं यहाँ पर 16वीं ओवर लेकर कौन से गेंदबाज आए हैं। यहाँ पर 15 ओवर समाप्त हो चुकी है और स्कोर पहुंचा है स्कॉटलैंड का 115 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर। और यहाँ पर स्कॉटलैंड की टीम बहुत ही अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस करती हुई नजर आ रही है। रिचर्डन आ चुके हैं। रिचर्डन अपनी स्पेल की 2 ओवर है उन्होंने डाली, 1 विकेट उन्होंने लिया था, महत्वपूर्ण 4 रन सिर्फ दिए हैं। तो देखते हैं ये ओवर में वो कितने रन दे पाते हैं और एक और विकेट लेने में कामयाब होते हैं या नहीं। लेफ्ट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर अंदर की तरफ गेंद आई थी और बिल्कुल, और यहाँ पर सिली पॉइंट की तरफ गेंद गई, लेकिन बहुत ही बढ़िया दोनों ही बल्लेबाज ने अपने छोर बदले और ये रिस्क हो सकता था, रन आउट का चांस यहाँ पर हो सकता था, लेकिन दोनों ही बल्लेबाज ने अपने छोर बदलकर 1 रन चुरा लिया है। स्कोर पहुंचा 116 रन के साथ 3 विकेट के नुकसान पर 15.1 ओवर में। यहाँ पर रिचर्डन एक बार फिर से विकेट की तलाश में है, तो देखते हैं उनकी ये ओवर में विकेट लेते हैं या नहीं। बहुत ही बढ़िया गेंदबाजी यहाँ पर रिचर्डन की ओर से देखने को मिली है। एक बार फिर से चल पड़े हैं रिचर्डन यहाँ पर कैलम के लिए और लेफ्ट आर्म ओवर द विकेट जाते हुए अंपायर को क्रॉस किया है और गेंद को यहाँ पर बाहर की साइड भेजा है और बल्लेबाज ने भेजा है पॉइंट की ओर। बहुत ही बढ़िया यहाँ पर एक और चौका लगता हुआ कैलम के बल्ले से और यहाँ पर स्कोर पहुंचा है 120 रन के साथ स्कॉटलैंड का।
सोनी पर આવે છે સોની સ્પોર્ટ્સ ની જે આવે છે એ બોલવાનું બંધ કરજો।
Not quite as much width on that, so you can only run it down to third man.
But again, importantly, it's not a dot. They just continue, and it's so important that you don't starve yourself with dot balls. And it's so important that you don't starve yourself with dot balls. And it's so important that you don't starve yourself with dot balls. And it's so important that you don't.
Pretty good top six, pretty renowned top six. Played a lot of cricket. This is the first time I've sort of seen them using their batting lineup. They've all played well today.
Well, again, it's the value of that early power play. They weren't 3 and 4 down. And of course, it's a disease that's inflicted Zimbabwe, and it'll be very interesting to see in the reply what sort of changes they might make. There wasn't a boundary for the first 16 deliveries, Dave. And then floodgates opened.
બેટ્સમેન ઇન્જર આવે છે આમાં તો હેલો હેલો
Cut away down to third man again, just be the single. You know, I think we talked about it in the second game. Well, there's certain wickets where you're going to have
Hello.
to keep going from ball one
Hello.
to the end because it's a 180,
Hello.
190 wicket.
Hello.
This is not one of those. Needs a little bit of negotiating. Certainly, we've seen it today. The way to negotiate,
Hello.
you don't have to go after ball one.
Well, I think the one thing they've
hello
exploited
hello
is
hello
they've
hello 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 hello
stump to stump. Certainly is. That's a good over, as has been throughout from Richard and Garava. Only 7, but 7 at this stage is valuable. So with 16 gone, 122, you'd sense that with 4 overs to go, certainly 10s is very achievable, and perhaps more. So it's going to be really important that Zimbabwe, if they can keep any sort of stranglehold in this match, they wouldn't want to be chasing much more than 160 here.
No, that's a good chase. They're capable of it though. I'll tell you what's interesting though, when you look back on this innings and you look at Zimbabwe's bowling card, and you see Sean Williams 2 overs 0 for 8, and every person is going to go, why didn't he bowl 4 overs? But I mean, here we're watching the game unfold. I must admit, I'd given him another over before I gave Chitara that last one. But how easy that happens, and the captain's thinking about his death bowlers, which one should I put on? And he's forgotten that his best bowler has bowled 2 overs for 8 on the day.
And in his last over, 2 catches dropped. We've also got to remember that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Sometimes I often wonder about this chopping and changing, and again, you get in after 20 overs and you look at the scorecard, and there's a fellow bowled 2 overs for 8 and he doesn't get another go. Perhaps the reason for that, and again, there was more rationale because he had only 3 seamers at his disposal. Of course, he's got 4 now, Craig Irvine. Perhaps that's part of the reason, I don't know.
If you go into games with with the best game plan in the world, you have to adapt to the situation of the game when it comes.
Do you think that's something, Dave, that kind of leads a captain into a scramble mind at times? Because it's a little bit like there's so much potentially of a rush in this game. It's something that I've kind of look at Owen Morgan. He slows the game down when he's captaining England, nearly to the point, not gamesmanship per se, but just hang on, let's wait a bit here, let's let the dust settle, ball by ball, let's slow things down, and he does it so effectively.
He does. You are a little bit forced by the timings. One of the things with T20 cricket is you have to bowl the overs in a certain amount of time, so you are a little bit forced. But I can't help thinking, as a captain, your easiest way of captaining is just to stand there and think, what would I least like if I was the batsman standing at that end? And that very quickly solves a lot of your problems. And today, it's been harder to hit the spinners than it has been to hit the seamers. And in fact, the only real scoring shots of the spinners today have been with reverse sweeps. And that shows you how hard it's been, that the sweeps and reverse sweeps is the only thing that people could go to.
Yeah, the tendency is often probably with the sweep shot, you miss it, you feel you're vulnerable, all these things that can potentially go through your head, but you've got to commit.
That's going to be 4. Oh no, it's not. 3 out on the leg side. Poor piece of fielding there. 2 runs taken.
Milton Shumba out there, that's clumsy fielding. Ball that was hit straight to him, dawdled to it, and it shows the value of McLeod running that first one quickly.
Good finish to the over as well. This from Jongwe. Slower ball bouncer, gets us hit for a single.
It's been up and down for Luke Jongwe. He's obviously bowled very well in spells. His first over going for 22 here today, but that a very good over for his team. 17 now gone. Scotland 127 for 3.
Yeah, I've said a couple of times that with Jongwe, he's such a good cricketer. He's got such an array of different variety of bowling to bowl, but he's just got to learn when and how to use them. When he bowled in the first over, or when he bowled his first over in the power play, that was not the right time to be bowling slow balls and things like that, and he got hit for a couple of big sixes. Coming on at the death like this, now he can use his variety, and he's bowled a really good over there.
Very, very good over. And Musa Rabbani's back in the attack. Again, it's interesting, that fielder just in a, you'd nearly put it a fly slip, but I don't know whether he's
going back.
He's going back, yes. Masakadze is coming into the edge of the circle at mid-wicket here. Glad it was him retrieving that. No one else would.
Yeah, would have been over my head, that's for sure.
It definitely would by about 2 feet.
I'm interested to see what he bowls here now, because I've watched a fair amount of him, both playing for Zimbabwe and playing a little bit for Northamptonshire. And he bowled a lot of balls back of a length into sort of above waist height. So I'm hoping he's going to use his Yorkers. Great shot that is, great shot. Up and over extra cover for 6, what a shot.
What a fantastic shot. And Richie Berrington, this is perfection in terms of hitting over extra cover. Brilliant shot from him. Now, the most capped Scottish cricketer, and you can see why. Beautiful shot from Berrington. He's been a fantastic player for Scotland right throughout his career. Lovely presentation to him we saw at the start of game 2, and richly deserved, and you can see why.
He's under pressure here early in his over as Mazarabani, 6 off the second ball.
Mazakadze did well there. He wore that on the chin, getting down low. Scooped up off his right hand, and he headed it to Sean Williams.
Yeah, it was good Burkhardt in the boundary. Also excellent batting as well. Picked up the short ball and hit it into the gap perfectly, perfectly placed.
You love that, Dave, don't you?
I do love a gap. This one's hooked out to square leg onto the boundary. Medaveri doing the fielding there. Excellent work from him, just a single. I think this is more the preferred length that Mazarabani bowls.
Well, perhaps on that ball that he was hit for 6, he was searching for what you wanted, and the margin for error, it's only when you see the fantastic exponents of the Yorker in world cricket that you realise what an extraordinary skill it is. To be able to do it consistently, Dave, is incredible.
Well, the one thing you need to do, though, is you need to jam it in at leg stump, though. If you give any width, it can still be squirted over backward point. That's excellent bowling. Excellent slower ball.
I always remember Roland Lefebvre. He could bowl them at will as well. Dutchman who played for Somerset, and that was the one thing that he actually said, the bit that he found most disconcerting in his career was the one that he bowled an off stump. As you say, could be squirted, you know, wide of that backward point position for 4. You know, what was a good ball, and his teammates would recognise it was a good ball, still went for 4.
Farmer's going back, who's coming up? Third man coming up.
Dangerous that, isn't it? Because the next piece of shot that comes in here is they just let it ride onto the face of the bat, and you get it over third man, but this is the risks, or these are the risks. That's very good cricket. Very good cricket from Berrington, that, because he immediately spotted. He was going to the danger end. He pushed his colleague McLeod and got back easily for 2 in the end.
It was an outstanding Yorker as well. It's exactly what we talked about. Fired in at leg stump. There's very little you can do. And in fact, it didn't hit it with any pace at all and managed to actually squeeze a 1 into a 2.
It's when you go for a 6 in an over, because it wasn't a bad over from Musa Rabbani, that, to be honest with you, but it's gone for 11. And every one of the 12 deliveries that are left are going to be so important to Zimbabwe, because certainly 160 is on here. Berrington on 37 from 34 deliveries. Ever so consistent right throughout this series, Berrington.
The short ball has been very effective, and that's something they're going to need to work on before they get off to the World Cup, because people will watch. Statisticians will be looking at this. They'll look at the footage and they'll see that the short delivery has been effective. They're going to need to do something about it. That was a slow delivery and hammered away. Once again in the gap, and with it, it brings 4 runs.
Well, that's very, very skillful batting. Chitara, and again, he's mixed his pace. You could probably see that early. You could see it in his hand virtually. First time he came up in a great shot, 4 runs to Berrington.
You know, you could see it in his hand, but it's given away before he even gets to the wicket. He's brought the field all in again. So he's bowled his bouncer, then he's brought his third man and fine leg up again. You know it's going to be a slower delivery. He's got to find himself a field that he can bowl at where he can use his variations. It covers most of the results. And for me, as a fast bowler, you need to have fine leg and third man back, because so many good players nowadays play the ramp and the scoop, and they're just using your pace. So rather have those men back so that you can bowl your Yorkers, bowl your fast bouncers, and don't get hit over your head.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, obviously, fine leg has now gone back. Third man still in the ring.
A little bit telegraphed, but at least it went out to where a fielder was.
It's interesting too there, David, like McLeod looking to hit that down. A lot of players would be looking to pump that out of the park.
Especially when you've got 7 wickets in the shed. Yeah, there's be a few now looking to hit 4s and 6s.
Well, at least you should be trying to do that, you would have thought.
Wow.
You feel he missed out there, Berrington. Again, that's really sloppy from Milton Shumba. And as captain, I'd say he'll be bringing him into the sheds afterwards. That's just inexcusable at this level. Didn't get himself to the ball quickly at all. They shouldn't be getting 2 runs there, Dave.
No, definitely not. And I think it can only be the pressure of the game and of the outing. Just as the game has got a little longer and the batters have got themselves in, the fielding has gone downwards. The standard of the fielding. They've been so good in the first 2 games.
Yeah, that might be. I certainly thought it was above head high there. Chitara not happy, but I think it was a wide, to be perfectly frank. The idea was good, but just that little bit too high. And you can even see Mark Hawthorne nearly apologetically saying, "I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Chitara, and that's your 1 for the over as well." So double trouble.
That's the worst part of that whole affair, though, is you've taken away your bouncer as well. I'm not sure if he's had 1 or 2 in the over yet. That might only be 1, so he's still got 1 up his sleeves. That might be out. It is. Full toss wide of off stump. It's hammered away. Didn't deserve to be out, but he's found Sean Williams on the boundary and a comfortable catch.
Another fantastic innings from Richie Berrington, the model of consistency in this series. And as you say, it can often be a ball like that that brings you a wicket in this format of the game. But it's been a great effort from him. And he departs for 44. Wonderful innings. And it brings another powerful hitter, Michael Leask, to the wicket. So, very important over, and I think from a Zimbabwean point of view, Craig Irvine would be delighted that he's handing the ball to Ngarava.
He will be. This needs to be a good over.
As you say, though, Dave, probably the trick that was missed was Sean Williams, 2 overs for 8, and he should have continued.
Yeah, that's behind him now. If this turns out to be a good over and Scotland, say, only get another 10 runs, 156, 157, I think Zimbabwe will come off the field, having not had their best day, catching and fielding, not bowled their best, and will be delighted with that score. That's a very gettable target, that.
Well, that's not a good start, because that's full, and it's been whacked over deep mid-wicket for 6, and that will not be the start that Ngarava wants.
He's not really had to bowl at the death like this in this series. This is about run restrictions. It's not about getting people out. And it's not a great start. He's gone for the Yorker and he's missed it by a long way. Knee-high full toss. Beautifully put away. Not always the easiest to hit out the ground. But McLeod does it easily. Under pressure from ball 1.
That's brilliant cricket. And a no ball as well. Dear oh me. It's going from bad to worse. The effort delivery from Ngarava is called a no ball. So, extra ball, free hit. It's gone from bad to worse.
It's no excuse for going over the front line, but it does happen in these situations when bowlers are under stress, trying their hardest. A little bit of extra effort goes in. Don't take anything away from the shot, though. What a great shot. Great shot from McLeod, just leaning back, using the pace, just deflected the ball basically over a second or third slip for 4.
Well, you spoke, Dave, about this top order from Scotland, and there is a lovely sense of stability about it. A lot of good players, and I think they're going to go to this World Cup. They're in probably the lighter of the 2 groups. There was obviously changes made, but they'll feel they have a real chance.
Well, that's 2 free hits so far in the game, and a leg bye has been the total garnish from them. So Zimbabwe can feel very, very lucky that is the case. However, Scotland have got, what's that, 12 off the first 2 deliveries. Still 4 deliveries to go.
Four very important deliveries, because Scotland have gone about this task very, very well. The value of wickets in hand, no rush in the power play.
That takes it to 18 off 3. It's bashed in back of a length. McLeod was waiting for it, pulled it superbly for that 6.
Well, Michael Leask was waiting for it too. And that is 6 of the best from him. And this is tough times for Ngarava, who's been the standout bowler for Zimbabwe right throughout this series. You just didn't expect it, really, Dave.
He didn't. He's under severe pressure now, though. 3 balls to go. He's gone for 18 off the first 3. Included was the no ball and the free hit. Boy, if he can get out of this with another 3 singles, he would be over the moon. I've got a feeling it's going to be something bigger, though.
The funny thing in the Ireland series, he went wide of off stump, you know, just inside that wide line. Be interesting to see what he does with this ball. Oh my goodness me, it's 6 more. And it's another no ball. Dear oh me. 6 and another no ball. What could the total from this over be, Dave?
Well, I thought at one stage that chasing 160 would be very gettable. It may be that they're chasing 175, 180 by the end of this over. He's under a lot of stress now. These are the sort of experiences, though, that you need as a youngster. Have one of these, have a day like this, because you can only but learn from it. As you say, you know, he was finishing overs off in Ireland, protecting 6 and 7 runs and over and winning games. But certainly looks to be out of ideas at the moment. I would have thought get round a wicket, angle it in at leg stump, try and get those Yorkers in.
Well, he's got a free hit to deal with first. And interesting that the most experienced Chitara was over to him. And I think Craig Irvine doing a good thing here, just trying to slow things down a wee bit. Try and get Ngarava to settle himself as best he can. Just look at that over so far. What could this go for, David?
Well, that's better. He went for the Yorker, got it in at cover. And great bit of running. They've managed to run 2 as well.
Well, Scotland have brought real energy to their performance today. Their running has been exemplary. I love the way they've pushed every run, particularly their 2s. They've never relented. None of this dawdling one down to third man or deep backward square. Every fielder has been put under pressure. And Zimbabwe have crumbled under the circumstances.
Well, that's going to bounce between point and the sweeper on the point boundary. So a couple of runs as well. That's a delivery that hasn't gone for the maximum. I think he'll be happy with that.
Can you count how many he's gone for right here, Dave? Maybe I'll get you to do the mathematics.
Well, I think we're up at about 20. I think they were on 156, so it'll be 20. Still a ball to go. More than 20, they've been for 3 6s, isn't it?
And that's what he was searching for the last 3 minutes.
Well, I said if he didn't go for any boundaries in the last 3, he'd have felt he's got himself out of a very tricky situation, and he didn't. But that's a tremendous finish by Scotland. They had a great start and a great finish, and they've ended up with a very competitive total.
And you have to feel for Ngarava there. Chitara trying to ease the pain a wee bit. But as you say, young man, you've had a fantastic tour. You don't need to dwell on something like that too much, as you say, but learn from it, David, and all his colleagues getting around him. He's put his heart and soul into this series, Ngarava, and a disappointing finish for him. And you kind of thought 3 minutes ago, as you say, if they could get out of the over for 8, maybe 10, it would be a sort of total that Zimbabwe feel they could chase, but 177 is going to be a huge ask.
Well, it is, because it just shortens the amount of time you can spend at the crease trying to play yourself in.
And there we are, the beautiful city of Edinburgh, and there is the summary. A slow enough beginning, but Muncie destroyed and plundered at the top of the order. Could see a really struggling for form. Hare's never really got going, but that partnership between Berrington and McLeod, superb in the context of the match. Most importantly, not so much their clubbing, but their running. And Lee's little cameo at the end, 17:05, the icing on the cake.
Yeah, 177 for 4. Zimbabwe going to have to go somewhere around 9 and over to get close. We've been saying all along, someone's going to look at that and go, why has Sean Williams only bowled 2 overs for 8? He should really have bowled some more.
Why has Wellington Mazakadze bowled 2 for 13? And again, it was probably the fact that they had so much seam available to them and those resources, but all the others really taking the hammer, apart from the very experienced Chitara, who actually bowled very well up front. And again, Ngarava, apart from that onslaught in the last over, they look at that and he's gone for 10s. That last over onslaught really has perhaps taken the game away from Zimbabwe, but we won't know as the sun and the blue sky begins to shine on this wonderful city. So there's your summary. Scotland 177 for 4, Zimbabwe 178 to win. We will be back with you shortly for the reply. So we're back, and Scotland gathering themselves for what will be a difficult run chase, this you would imagine, with then Garava going for an extraordinary amount of runs in the final over the match, and that's the ask. 8 point almost nines and over. And interesting that the skipper has decided, I'm going to take it into my own hands here.
Yeah, what we've seen in the first two games has been some of the youngsters up the order. Pair of youngsters in the first game. In second game, Reggie Chikabva came in as a little bit of senior, and they split the youngsters up. And obviously they've had a chat in the 10 minutes in between innings, and they've thought, it's a big score, we need a big start. So out goes the captain this time.
There's probably a degree of sense in that from Craig Irvine. Feels he's really got a lead from the front here if Zimbabwe are going to really try and keep themselves in this game. And Scotland used their vast experience. They've actually got a very good batting lineup. Their top six, all hugely experienced, and they showed that today, David.
Yeah, and the other thing that we talked about, there's no need to go charging after it from ball one. You've still got a little bit of time to get yourself set, get some singles away.
So Sharif starts, short ball.
And that's something you can't allow to happen. You cannot be ducking, I'm afraid. You've got to take it on, otherwise it's just a dot ball and you're allowed 2 and over of those.
Yeah, strange decision that from Chikabva.
Yeah, especially with fine leg up inside the circle as well.
Really, apart from the opening game of the series against Ireland, Reggie has struggled.
He has.
Are you laughing at me there? Because I find Reggie a lot easier than Chikabva. Ah, that's okay, isn't it?
You got it there. He hit one towering 6 off the spinner in the last game, but then got out shortly thereafter, so he hasn't got any runs behind him, but he's a decent player, Reggie. He's been around a long while now. He knows his game. I think the big thing for me is you don't want to be blocking out maidens, that's for certain. You want to be ticking the scoreboard over, but you don't need to go big too soon. Scotland proved that when they batted. They only really started going after it by over 3.
Well, their first boundary came for Scotland, the 17th delivery of their innings. And as you say, they just got themselves in, and then the onslaught began. And then there was that period in the middle of the innings where things kind of stalled a bit with Mazikadze and in particular Williams, and we didn't see them again, which was a surprise to us. That's good bowling from Sharif. That's following a similar pattern, this. But Sharif is vastly experienced. Does a lot of the death bowling as well for Scotland. Great exponent of the Yorker we talked about earlier.
Well, it used to be the case that most sides love chasing. You know, let's let the opposition decide what they can put on the board, and then we chase it down. And nowadays, sides find chasing very difficult, and both these sides have been so. It's Irvin off the mark with a single, and he'll pick up 2. But it's something they're going to have to get used to. You can't play your cricket around the world hoping you're going to win the toss.
Why do you think that is, Dave?
I have no idea. I think that it's the pressure of the chase which seems to be the problem. But I think once you get used to it and you can knock scores off, and it's just a matter of putting yourself in that position. try and knock scores off. Once you get used to it and you find a method and a formula that fits your team, then you've really got the game, haven't you? Because you've got both sides of it now.
Well, I think what Scotland showed, certainly in the first innings, was the running between the wickets in that little spell in that period, you know, where they weren't going. They were picking up singles, picking up twos, and they're so important. It's a statement more than anything else.
Just 3 runs coming off the first over. Ali Evans is going to bowl the second over for Scotland from the nursery end.
Oh, and that'll be disappointing from Cross, and he's got a sore finger for it, and you're well used to that, David. I'm looking at that fourth finger of yours. You couldn't play golf with it yesterday, which was very disappointing for you in Dalmahoy. Beautiful golf course we played on yesterday, but that not a good start, and Matthew Cross feeling the effects.
Nah, not great. The ball tends to dip as well. We've been talking about the shape of the field, being the upside down saucer. Ball tends to dip at the keeper as well, but it's handy for Zimbabwe. Straight off the helmet.
And again with Watt on the edge of the circle, easy single there for Irvine, off the mark quickly, and getting his colleague down the other end. That's good.
I think he'll feel he's missed out there, his Reggie Chikava, because the third man was up inside the circle and fine leg as well. You get a bounce, you've only got to get a piece of bat and it would have been a boundary, but at least he got down the other end.
Well, I think the most important thing he said is take it on. Yeah. And that's what he needs to do, take on the short ball, because he's going to need to, particularly in the power play. 2 fielders out.
Got a particularly good field placed here for Craig Irvin. There's a backward point and just in front of point, quite close together. You see that quite a lot with bowlers who are going to bowl back of a length, just at off stump, just outside off stump. There's not much of a gap to get it in between.
Yeah, they're certainly within 8-10 meters of one another, and that's clever tactics from them, as long as Evans can bowl at the right area. And he hasn't there, and Irvine has latched onto that, and that's meat and drink. Pumped in front to square for 4. Great shot from him.
It's an outstanding hook shot, it really is. Just played it so easy, it's almost like he knew it was coming there. What we've seen already in a couple of overs, and obviously the first 20 overs, much better wicket to bat on that.
No doubt about that, because they've played on the same surface for all 3 games. And the Grange pitch is notoriously a very good batting pitch, and it's proved that today. In game 2 it just seemed to get quicker and quicker. The pace and bounce was pretty even, and it's proved that way again today.
The single off the last ball of the over takes him to 14 off 2. So not really had to play a shot in anger. There's been one nice pull shot, but actually scoring it above a runner ball. That's what we talked about. There's no need to go charging after it in the first couple of overs. Just get yourself a stable base. Try and keep some wickets in hand, and you can chase down whatever you need to.
Well, you're right. There's been no harry-carry. They've gone it over to run a ball. 7s they are at this stage, and we've got a change in the bowling at the pavilion end. Chris Saul is coming on. He, of course, was left out of game 2. And he's got something about him, Chris Soule. He can bowl with decent pace, David.
Yeah, I think the batters will enjoy that today. Sit high up on the bat, just knocked around the corner for a single. I've got to be careful what I say, because a little earlier I said Zimbabwe had been outstanding, great to watch in the field, and they proceeded to then drop 3 catches and misfield a bunch. So I really have enjoyed watching them over the 3 games. They're a growing side and an absolute joy in the field. If they can knock this down and take this game and knock off the score, then it'll be a real positive for them as well. Oh.
Yeah, well, he hasn't ducked under that one, David Houghton. He's taken it on, and it's gone over the boundary ropes for a Dorothy Dick. 6 of the best from Regis Chababva.
That's a great shot. He had to feel it was coming. He ducked one, and they've bowled a couple at him that he's not played particularly well, so he might have known it was on its way. And boy, did he play this one well. Absolutely brilliant. Straight out the centre of the bat. And Chris Soule under pressure.
Well, not nice when the second ball of your spell goes over the ropes for 6, and it'll be interesting to see the response right now.
Ooh.
I tell you what, Matthew Cross did extraordinarily well to get to that.
I agree with you. I think it's a great piece of keeping. It's gone down as a wide. If you got more than 1 run, the wider it went. That might have been a 6-ball wide, but it wasn't. It was a long way down the leg side.
It was very, very wide. Nice shot that again. Firmly played to mid-on and immediately away, but it's a no ball, David Houghton. And things really a struggle here for Chris Soule in the initial part of his spell, scratching his head, and understandably so, because it's a free hit for Craig Irvine, although we've not seen a huge amount of profit out of free hits here today.
Well, he's only got to get a boundary off his free hit, and he'll get more than they got in all 3 of theirs. But isn't it amazing suddenly in a tight game how people just get a little tighter under pressure just because it's the 3rd game in the series? You never saw a no ball in the first 2 games. And all of a sudden, bowlers bowling no balls. We had a catches dropped when Zimbabwe were in the field, misfields.
Well, it's a difficult time. This sort of thing happens to you as a bowler. You go searching when often you don't need to, but as you say, it's amazing what goes on in that mind of ours at times. And nothing changes. No profit from a free hit.
Well, at least they got a bye. That's unreal. You know, you try and do so much with it. Just stand still and hit it. It's a free hit.
Easy from here, David.
Why didn't they have any free hits when we were playing? I could have done with a few of those.
More often, you don't see a huge amount of profit from a free hit.
He had a decent swing at that, did Regis Chababva. Didn't make any contact. It's a nice strong action, isn't it?
Very nice strong action indeed. Attacks the wicket. Athletic. Of course, the name would tell you something. Back in those rugby days, David Soule. And that's a good fight back from Chris Soule here after the initial foray. Don't know whether Uncle Chris is watching. Chris Trembath, of course, who played Gloucestershire, good pal of mine.
Good running. 25 without loss after 3 overs.
Without any harry-carry, really. They've just moved along quite smoothly and nicely. Just as you recommended, David.
You know, from where we are sort of sitting outside the boundary, 20 yards away from the boundary, you can hear the different thud on the bat. It's a real knock on the bat, which just tells you the ball's coming on. It's hitting the middle of the willow as well. So it is definitely a better wicket to bat on today than it has been in the first 2 games, and the batsmen are making hay. It's going to need a couple of big innings, though. I would suggest 1 big innings. Just the team bat around.
Oh, that seems to have jagged back enormously. We didn't hear the thing here, nor did Matthew Cross. But that looked an extremely good delivery from Ali Evans.
It must have come back a long way because it's gone through bat and pad, and Matthew Cross diving a long way down his leg side, so it's come back a decent amount. Good delivery. I sometimes wonder, though, with the sides, you know, when they're playing these T20s, whether they actually try and make the ball move. Because I haven't seen a lot of white balls move when watching sort of white ball cricket in the English conditions until Australia A arrived to play against us. And then I saw a white ball swing and seam. And I sort of realised that they're actually trying to make the ball move, because most of the time the bowlers in England are trying not to make it move.
Oh, and that was a great effort and a great chance, but it's gone down. Richie Berrington away to his left-hand side. And bearing in mind the series he's had, you would have expected that to stick, David.
I would have, except today seems to be the day for catches not to stick. It was a great effort, and it also was a pretty decent throw as well, directed. Sweetly pulled away for a single, and there's the difference, isn't it? The running between the wickets. Zimbabwe lads jogged down to the other end. There was a misfield, could have been 2, but it wasn't there.
Should have been 2, and absolutely right. Craig Irvine, no real urgency there at all. And once the misfield came, had he run that first one quick, it would have been an easy 2. Let's see what happens this ball. Often one follows the other in situations like that, but not on this occasion. But this is proving a very good over from Ali Evans. Only 2 conceded at this point, and it just makes that last delivery so important. You used to talk about that, just get out of that 6th ball, whatever way you can.
Cover took on a pull to a ball that wasn't that short. But, no runs come off it. Outstanding over from Ali Evans. 28 without loss now after 4.
Yeah, funny times here. Chikadva 10 from 14. Craig Irvine 9 from 11. There's been a good few extras, of course, so they haven't had a huge amount of work to do. But no panic just at this point, as was proved by Scotland, who took their time early on and then went on a mission.
That was the last ball of the power play that Munsey took hold of in Scotland's batting innings. It was looking like a fairly comfortable power play at one stage, and then I think he hit Jongwe for a couple of 6s and a couple of boundaries in an over.
Well, he went for 22 in that over, that final over of the power play when Zimbabwe were right on top, and he just took the game away a wee bit from those early 30s. They were 50 for the loss of 1 wicket at the end of their 6 overs. Oh, and that's taken a nasty bounce. Not easy, that, for Ali Evans. Whipped away by Craig Irvine, and he'll be very happy to get 4 there.
Yeah, it's a tough bounce. The ball was travelling at a decent speed. He's got a good piece of bat on that, as Craig Irvine. That bounce just short of Ali Evans, and unfortunately straight through him and off to the fence.
Did I hear his brother Sean is looking to do trade as a professional golfer now? Is that rumour true?
I spoke to Craig about that at the end of the first game, and he had a go at it and didn't quite make it. But I know he's a pretty good golfer, but you've got to be something special.
Oh, and that was on to Craig Irvine quick. And Chris Soule has a bit about him. He's got pace, he's got aggression, and that was on to Irvine very quickly indeed. And as you say, it's been a measure of this pitch, which has got quicker and quicker as the series has gone on.
That's what makes timing the ball a little bit better. The fact that there's a bit of pace in the wicket, and actually the quicker the bowler bowls, the better it is. What you have seen, those from two sides, neither of whom face a lot of short pitch bowling in their domestic cricket. And of course, because of it, are not great hookers and pullers. It's something they're going to need to improve upon the more international cricket they play.
That's the operative word, the more international cricket they play.
See, it's not just about the playing of the hook shot and the pull shot that's important. It's, you could see in that last delivery, all Reggie's weight was on the back foot. He was expecting something short, and he's missed out on half volley. So it's not just about the shot you play that pulls the 4 and 6. It's about what you do to the ball after.
He's got half of that. Not just enough, and this again has been a good over, a good recovery from Chris Soule after a difficult beginning, which was something that happened in the second game. But he's recovered well, and he's got good pace and aggression here, and he's doing a good job for his team. And another example of it again, David.
Yeah, short ball to finish the over. Not sure that got up to the height that Craig Irvine was expecting. It looked like when he played the shot that it's kept a little lower than he thought it would. It may be that he just misjudged the right length to pull. 34 without loss after 5 overs. We've seen in the first 2 games a plethora of wickets falling from both sides in the power plays. And yeah, we've had 2 decent power plays in terms of wickets not falling. But Zimbabwe need that big over.
So they've both taken the medicine for the disease then. Again, probably wisely bringing Sharif back into the attack. Probably Scotland's premier bowler, really. Shafian Sharif, excellently consistent what he does.
That ball has just run nicely down to third man. It's, you know, throughout my cricket coaching career, particularly in 4-day cricket now on good wickets, I can never understand why anybody has a gully. And then when we play white ball cricket, I can never understand why people don't have a gully. Because actually in the red balls, very few catches go to gully nowadays. I mean, gully was a position basically for wet wickets or somebody who's very tall and bouncy. But it is definitely the rundown area for white ball cricket.
Well, the interesting thing too here is Sharif is doing exactly what you spoke about that Zimbabwe should have been doing, bowling those tight lines, forcing Zimbabwean batsmen to think on a nagging line and length. And he's doing a very good job for his team here. Safian Sharif.
Well, it's flicked off to the leg side, but it's taken off the stumps, and there's a fielder placed out at backward square, so it's just a single, so a lot of risk for just a small amount of runs.
And that's exactly what you want as the bowling team, isn't it? Let them take more risk and where they want to hit the ball. And this has been a good little spell for Scotland, this.
Good shot. 6. Top shot by Reggie Chakaba, really was. He kept his weight back a little in the crease. He might have even been expecting something shorter. What he did get was a half volley, and he's absolutely hammered it over mid-on for 6.
Great shot, this. Lovely balance. Stayed with it. Great solid base and straight down the ground. Nothing more pleasing as a batsman.
Good catch.
It was a good catch down there, was it?
It looked it. It looked it. Pouched it easily just the other side of the boundary board.
That's something that has amazed me in cricket throughout the years. Balls absolutely hammered into the crowd and no one really injured.
There it is, knocked down to third man for a single. Great shot, ball after a 6.
Chakabva looks a lot more settled today, David, which I'm sure pleases you.
It does, because I know how good a player he is. If he gets in, gets past the 30-40 mark and he gets himself set, you'll see he's got a real wide range of shots. He's a very, very good cricketer. Just got to give himself that time to get in.
PJ Moore spoke very highly of him too. Well, for 4, David. And you can look at the ground all you like, but when you take your head up like that, that's the sort of thing that can happen. And Michael Leask will not be happy, nor will Sharif, because that's a gift for Zimbabwe. And interesting at this phase, David, Scotland were 50 for the loss of 1 wicket at the end of the power play, and Zimbabwe, without any fuss, are now 47.
Exactly, and that's what they needed. If they were going to chase this down, they needed to get off to a good start, and they've had a good, safe start, no wickets down. So they've got plenty in hand, so when they want to set down on the accelerator, they should be fine. I'm not sure you're going to see Mazarabani and Jongwe batting in the next 2, that's for certain. They'll be the other end, I think.
Well, what will be very interesting, actually, is, as likely can happen at any stage as the wicket falls, who are they going to bring in next?
Yeah, that will be interesting. I would expect Sean Williams to be either next or one after. Milton Shumba will be up there, no doubt, as well. But will they use maybe someone just to try and get a little bit of a push going, a pinch hitter? This doesn't surprise me either, seeing Mark Watt into the attack straight away. And once again, I've got to think that should have been 2. That was perfectly placed between the 2 boundary fielders. No pace on it as well.
Maybe they're just not as quick, David.
They're quicker than me, but yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
I think there's certain fielders we've seen. Mazakadze, who's the outstanding fielder. I don't think I saw a ball hit to him for a 2, even with a huge amount of ground to work with. Brilliant fielder. But the difference was Scotland pressurised both Berrington and McLeod were quick.
It's quite often talked about the 7th over of a T20 game. It's, I think in all T20 around the world, the 7th over is the lowest scoring over. I don't know, that's suddenly, you know, the fields go back. Players don't want to get out straight away after a power play.
You've been doing a lot of stats over the last couple of days. We won't talk about first-class cricket, but we've had our moan off air. But your statistics for that, whenever they go live, will be mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'm not really a big stats man, but there are some that really stick out. And, you know, having run a first-class side for some time now, that's a great shot. Straight back over the bowler's head into that area again that can't be defended.
Yeah, Mark Watt will be disappointed with that. That was a little bit floaty, that. And Irvine gave it the treatment. This is beginning to warm up this game, and it's been a great series so far. Two very tight games we've had, and you get the sense that this might be the same.
It has been a good series, and it deserved a good finish, so things are set up right now for a good finish.
Well, I think the other side of things is, as we saw with that misfield in the last, as more and more pressure comes on, it will be interesting to see which team is going to potentially falter. We saw a lot of indifferent fielding from Zimbabwe first half of this match.
Scoring of every delivery, though, hugely important. The boundary thrown in as well. It's a really good over.
And it takes us to the end of the 7th with Zimbabwe 56 for no wicket. And I will be taking my leave, and you'll be joined by Preston Motsman.
Let's game on, Prest. They needed a good start, the Zimbabweans, if they were going to get anywhere near chasing this down, and they've had it.
Certainly. Chakapa and Irvin looking the part here. Chakapa in particular looks a different man. Nice and relaxed at the crease. Good shot selection, I think, has been key. And what a start they've had so far. 56 for none of the first 7. And we're going to see an introduction of Michael Leask, who's bowled well in the first couple of games. Had the benefit of bowling to a number of left-handers, which would suit him, but he's got the right-hander to contend with here.
Wow, he's got away with that. His first ball was just stuck in the hand a bit, was a bit short, and put away for what should have been a single, but misfield has led to a couple.
Yeah, Chris Saul, the guilty man on the boundary there. Scotland need to step it up a bit in the field, been a little bit sloppy. Michael Leask coming around the wicket, creating some angle.
Well, he's obviously not going to get driven over his head, which is something he's trying, but he's just got to be a little bit careful. He keeps dragging him down that low, or that short, should I say. He's going to get put away a bit more. How well did he time the ball when he came into bat, though, in that last over of Scotland's innings? Put away some beautiful big hitting sixes.
Yeah, and how critical will that last over turn out to be? Garava, the man who's been so dependent for Zimbabwe in the first couple of games. It was a big, big last over.
Big shouts of UNR, but effectively just a comfortable shot through the offside. It was a little bit aerial, but no fielders anywhere near. Just a single. Sweeper out on the offside boundary for Craig Irvin.
Great work by Michael Leask off his own bowling there. Saves what should have been a 1. Cuts off that angle. Good quick work to his right.
We don't have a speed gun on this, but that was a pretty quick arm ball as well. And he gets the wicket straight through Chikapa, middle stump lying backwards. And standing piece of bowling.
Yeah, it's the angle again that he's created. Coming around the wicket, just cramping up Chikapa. Looks to go across the line. Again, I think it's a little bit quicker from Leask. Just rushing the batter.
I said his first arm ball was sharp. That was just as sharp, and it just skidded straight on. So good start by Zimbabwe. 60 they put on in 7.5 overs, but they've lost their first wicket. And as we thought, Zimbabwe going for broke with all the senior batters at the front of the order, and it's Sean Williams who will come out to the crease.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me. I wonder whether they could have maybe continued with that right-hand, left-hand combination, but as you say, get the senior men in, let them do the business.
I think Sean Williams is a good player of spin, whichever way it's turning. He is a very effective sweeper as well and hits the ball nicely through and over extra cover. So it may be a case of let's just get our best player of spin out there as well. Two senior batsmen, most senior batsmen in the side. We're off to a good start. This is our best chance of winning it. Some good evenings in Scotland.
Lovely, eh?
He's not really looking to turn it much, but you've seen much of him play. He's got a decent sort of ball that turns away.
Yeah, he can get it to spin. He varies his pace a lot, varies his angle and his release as well. Not afraid to come lower with the trajectory on his arm. But generally goes up in pace. But at his best when he's just hitting the top of the stumps, as he did there, to get that vital breakthrough for Scotland. He's going to be a key man for this team moving forward over the next couple of months in the UAE, that's for certain.
Yeah, particularly on those wickets, spin can be difficult. So it's important that you've got good players of spin within your batting department, but also good bowlers of spin. Ali Evans is going to come on now from the pavilion end.
Don't think Irvin will mind the change. Pitch seems far easier today playing the seamers, just coming on a fraction quicker.
I was just going to say the one thing they didn't want to do is lose wickets in clusters. And they have both the in-batsmen out in the space of 4 balls. Irvin now has his stumps removed.
Oh, what an introduction from Evans, that is. Good call from the skipper. Change of bowler, come in, get me a wicket. Does exactly that. Top of off again. Good areas being rewarded. Irvin, the skipper, has to depart. He looked good, but he'll need to go. He's gone for 25.
There was the one thing he didn't want to do as a Zimbabwean side, was to lose wickets in batches, and particularly two in batsmen at the same time. Just enough time there was to just rotate the ball a little bit, rotate the strike, get a few singles, get the second player in again. But it hasn't happened, and it's good work by Scotland. Ali Evans bowled a particularly good first over from the other end during the power play, and he's come back here and he's still on it.
Yeah, good composure from Scotland. Under a bit of pressure there with Irvin and Jakabva looking in good control, dominating the power play, but they've held their nerve and come back strongly here. Got 2 very, very important wickets. 2 new men at the crease now. Mataveri, the new man, will take strike against Evans.
Well, that looked a pretty confident start right out the middle of the bat. They've got damage to repair though, him and Williams. 2 batsmen at the crease without scoring. And a hefty total in front of them to try and chase down.
Yeah, Mataveri yet to contribute anything of significance in the series so far. To give himself a chance here, get himself in.
Yeah, Feely's missed out there. There was a short ball, a little bit of room outside the off stump for him to free his hands, and he's just managed to knock it straight at point. how much difference it makes when you're just starting out in innings. You hit that either side of point and it goes to the boundary and you're off and running. You've got a boundary, you've timed the ball beautifully. And here we are, 2 balls, no runs on the board.
That's well played. Lovely soft hands. Playing it late, right under his eyes. Gets off the mark. Brings Williams back on strike. Good stuff from Ali Evans. Nice and tight.
See, when you're trying to recover a position like this, as Zimbabwe are, how quickly the overs disappear in front of your very eyes. And the next thing you look up and you've had 10, 11, 12, and suddenly you're looking at 10s, 11s and over to try and get anywhere near the target. I think what they've got to try and do is remember where Scotland were at the halfway mark, which was just around about 80, 81, I think, after 10 overs. Get themselves somewhere near that, and you know you're in the game. The big turning point, of course, was can you have a final over like Scotland had when they were batting? But to stay in this game, just keep at the level that Scotland were at when they batted, and you're always going to be there and thereabouts.
Good run again, Williams. Yeah, and Scotland will know that themselves. They were on the right side of that in the first innings, but they'll know in this innings how crucial the boundary count will be. Each over they don't concede a boundary, as was the case in that one. Gets them slightly ahead of the game, keeping that run rate in check. Spinners, you feel, through this middle period are going to be key. Michael Leask will continue. Been in great form this series.
There's that little bit of turn I was asking whether he had. Super delivery from round the wicket, pitching on the stumps, turning past the off stump.
It's beautifully bowled by Michael, managing to extract anything he can out of this wicket.
And then the quicker arm ball, this time defeats the reverse sweep of Sean Williams, and the stumps go rattling back again.
Yeah, you felt it was a matter of time before Williams got the sweep shot out. Unfortunately for him, it was the quicker arm ball of Michael Leask again. And it's on the money, it's hitting the stumps, always giving himself a chance. He's delighted. Huge wicket.
So Williams departs without contributing much. And those youngsters that they carefully protected at the front of the order are now going to be asked to do what the senior men couldn't do. Milton Shumba had a particularly good knock of 40 odd not out in the first T20. This is going to take some asking though from here.
Yeah, huge ask for these two youngsters, but at the same time, what an opportunity. Opportunity to win the game, win the series for their country. Again, it's another left-hander for Michael Leask to bowl to. Certainly his preference.
Now, whether these youngsters can get Zimbabwe anywhere near this total, it's hard to say at this stage, but the experience of actually having to go out there and try and get there and how they go about it, it's all part of the learning and part of the growing. Just making absolutely sure he's got his feel where he wants him. Swim off the mark straight away with a single. It's good to see the variation that Scotland have in their attack. You know, the first two games was all about the seamers. The spinners very much played a supporting role, if anything, in the first two games. And then on the day when it's become a little easier to bat on this, particularly against the seam, spinners have come into the fore. And I think that's a little trick Zimbabwe missed out on when they bowled. Their spinners bowled 2 overs each and perhaps should have bowled more.
That's close. That's close. Yeah, I think it's a good point. Looking at Michael Lee's figures there, 2 for 5. But if we go back to the first couple of balls he bowled in the spell, 2 absolute drag downs, not put away, and it's allowed Michael Lees to then settle into a spell.
Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. That both of those first 2 balls should have been boundaries. Instead, he got a single and I think a 2, and was able to settle in.
So important in the short format that you don't allow the bowler to settle, try and get ahead of the game, be proactive, and certainly was they'll look back at that as a missed opportunity. That's just allowed Michael Lees to settle in and get his confidence going.
That's a good shot. It's hit nicely in the gap, but again, the running is just not urgent enough for me. It's the end of the 9th over. 65 for 3 now. Correction, make that the end of the 10th over. 65 for 3. So they're now well behind. Scotland were 81 after 10. Also 3 down. Zimbabwe 65 after 10, 3 down.
Change of bowler. We're going to see the left arm spin of Mark Watt from the pavilion end. Great time of the game for him to be bowling. 2 new batters. By his standards, hasn't bowled particularly well in this series so far. Speaking to him before the game, he's said he's due a performance. Good opportunity now.
$11.5 and over Zimbabwe need from here. It's going to be a tough old ask. One thing you can't do, though, is have any balls not scored off. So good to see him getting the singles where they're available, but also you're going to need a boundary or 2.
There's no question they're going to have to take some risks. It's just what kind of risks they can take and where their boundary options are. Need to find a way to take the game to Scotland, put the bowlers under a bit of pressure. Good start again from Mark Watt.
And what you're looking for from your batsman here is, can they hit the ball back over the bowler's head? Can they hit it over extra cover? If you can do that, you put the bowler under pressure. Seen that tactic from Mark Watt a few times over the years. They'll stop and have a stare at the batsman, see what he's up to.
Yeah, I like that from Watt. Mataveri just stepping across over to off stump. But Mark Watt very alert. Oh, it's nicely played. Down too long off. Callum McLeod will do the work out there. Yeah, Mark Watt tactically very aware, watchful. Will follow the batsman, not shy to pull away if they are moving their feet. Just keep them guessing, trying to stay ahead.
He'll be happy just conceding the odd single now, realising that any over that goes for under 10s and Scotland are winning. All the pressure on the Zimbabwe batsman. Good piece of fielding at cover point. Mark Watt again using his variation bowling from in line with the umpire, well behind the crease. Staying over to the left-hander.
Varian Shumba just knocking it around here, looking to rebuild something. Unfortunately, they don't have the luxury of time on their side. So you wonder what the game plan is here. Who's going to try and be aggressive, get the boundary? Because no question, they need at least one boundary and over here from here on in. Like to see the tempo just up to notch.
Yeah, they can't afford too many overs of just knocking it around. They've really got to get going. I think, you know, whatever the situation in the game, you've got to go out there and be positive as you can and try and get yourself somewhere near. You'll learn so much more by pushing yourself to those little limits, even if you don't get to the final score. I'm not saying be reckless at all, but let's just see what you're capable of.
I think as well as a batter, you need to bring the energy, and that's not just in your stroke play, but your running, your change of bowler here, Callum McLeod. It's going to be from the nursery end. A lot of variations from him. No ball will be the same. Right arm off spin. Throw in a few arm balls, I'm sure.
Just before you came on, when I was chatting with Leo, what I was saying about the Zimbabwe side, obviously looked at the first two games, changed the lineup of their bowling side and brought in an extra seamer, which is exactly what those first two games showed us. But then they didn't react to today's wicket. They didn't react to the situation of the game. Spin was always going to be the problem on this wicket today. And Scotland have done that, haven't they? They've had a look at it. Yes, their seamers have bowled okay, adequately. But they've had a look at it, and straight away you've had three spinners bowling already.
Absolutely, and the spinners providing that control through the middle period. And Zimbabwe did everything right to get the wicket of Munzi. Worked really hard to get that breakthrough, got the breakthrough. Munzi, we know how destructive he is against spin, so that was the time really when they could have just laid on the spinners. Instead, they looked to change. And unfortunately, that didn't work for them.
It'll just be a single out to mid-on as well. And when you see some of the bowlers took a bit of a hiding in the seamers, and they've bowled well in this series, but today wasn't their day. But then you look at the Zimbabwe bowling scorecard, and you see Sean Williams 2 overs 0 for 8. Why didn't he bowl 4? Masakadza 2 overs 0 for 13. Why didn't he bowl 4? So there was no adjustment to what was happening in this game on this wicket today.
McLeod, you wonder as well what the thinking is, what the approach is from Zimbabwe. He's a part-time spinner, someone you need. If he does come on, there's got to be a plan. He can't be allowed to come in and bowl four balls and go for 2.
Well, he's finished the over and he's only gone for 2. So that was a poor over that from the Zimbabwean batsman. Excellent one from McLeod in Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant from Scottish perspective. Great to see McLeod getting a few overs in. Again, it just gives you that other dimension, that bit of variation. You never know when you might need him out in the UAE, and over here and over there, grab a wicket, in and out. Just, I'm sure Carl Kutzer will love to be able to call on in tough situations. I'm sure he can do.
Yeah, and just watching some of these young Zimbabwean lads, but I've seen a fair amount of Madaveri. He's a decent little player. Shumba played beautifully in the first game. It was the first time I've seen him. This is where the value of being able to come out and play a bit of club cricket overseas, work on different surfaces against different bowlers, and work your game out a little bit more. It just looks to me like there's a little bit of lack of knowledge as to where this next boundary is coming from. If you block off the sweep and the reverse sweep, what have they got left? And that's something they can learn and grow as their game progresses. And certainly the more they play away from home, the more they'll get on tours like this and get the opportunity to play, the more they'll learn it. That's a lovely shot on the ground through extra cover. Should be 2.
Yeah, lovely quick hands from Deary there through extra cover. Couldn't agree with you more about the touring, and it's not only from a cricket side of, well, cricket perspective, but also just growing and maturing as a person, as a player, so important.
That was bowled a long way behind the umpire. Cut away by Madaveri. And another 2 behind point on the offside.
Yeah, lovely game of cat and mouse between Mark Watt and Madaveri here. That was nicely punched.
That's well placed. That's excellent. That is right in the gap between mid-wicket and mid-on. What we've been talking about over the last couple of days. Hit your balls in the gap.
Yeah, that is the key to that shot. It's the placement. A little bit quicker from Mark Watt. Madaveri seemed to be almost expecting that. He's pierced the gap between long on and Carl and has raced across this outfield. Well played.
Played this over well as Madaveri. A couple of 2s, a boundary and then a single. Really active through the over.
Played again. Just 1 out to deep square leg. It's Munzi does the work out there. Brings us to the end of the 13th over. The score now 84 for 3.
Yeah, we've said it's going to be a tough ask, particularly for this young lineup from here on in. But if they keep playing like that, nice and positively, keep pushing themselves, see what they can do, they might surprise themselves. And all of it is just part of the education. Next time they get into a position where they're needing to hit boundaries, needing to play spin, needing to play seam, they've got some history.
Yeah, and I think we're getting to the stage of the game where there is no other option for them. There's only one way that they have to play now. Sometimes that can really give the batter just that little bit of focus. Makes decision making very simple. It'll probably come down to shot selection and risk taking. What risks are they prepared to take? Where can they hit the ball where the fielders aren't? Hit the gaps. Know that they get good value for their shots on this ground.
Well, Lees gets back into the attack, and very, very quick arm ball to start it off with, and neatly cut away for 2 behind square. You know, people talk the sort of talk, or the words of it is, you know your options, know where you're going to hit the ball, etc., etc. I mean, you do need to know your game. And the only way you know your game is by testing it in various areas and in various circumstances. That's gone over the gap. That's excellent. It's gone over mid-wicket, but he's gone right over the gap between two boundary fielders. Outstanding shot for 6 by Shumba.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. Great use of the feet. Taking it to Michael Leask. Good swing of the bat. Opens up that front leg. Allows the bat to swing through. It's beautifully timed for 6, as you say, in that vacant area of the ground.
I tell you, just quietly, some great catches in the in the other side of the boundary. That was a one-hander. Slightly quicker as was to be expected. A couple of good overs, isn't it, from Zimbabwe? They've got a 10 and now 9 off 3 here. Start adding a couple of these overs together and you get yourself pretty close in the end.
And that's it. How deep can they take it? Stick with that rate, stick with that rate, take good options.
Yeah, that was just a wild hack. There wasn't really any placement on the phone, wasn't really looking to hit it into a particular area. It was just a hack. You've got to try and avoid those.
Evans. That's great work by Alistair Evans out there. Great commitment. Thought he might have a chance with a catch, but pulls out at the last minute. But importantly, stops the boundary. Top work. I do wonder with this additional pace that Leask is giving the batters, whether there's an opportunity just to use the ramp or guide the ball.
Oh. And finishes the over off tidily with a nice little reverse sweep for 4. Zimbabwe's 100 comes up in this chase. They're putting up a decent fight here. To talk you through the last 6 overs of this innings, Alan Lewis is on with Preston.
Useful over that, Preston, although it's still probably very much in Scotland's hands in terms of the winning and losing of this match.
Yeah, good last couple of overs. From a Zimbabwe perspective, you like to think that's a bit of a momentum shift for them. Certainly these two at the crease looking far more comfortable. Lots of energy in their play and their shot selection's been good. It's forced a change here. Bring back the strike man, Chris Soul.
You sense this will be a very important over for Chris Soul, Preston?
Yeah, Kutzer's obviously bringing him back to do a job, try and strike. That's what he's in the team for. He's a wicket taker, bowls with good pace. Importantly, though, he wants to, if he's not getting the wicket, he wants to keep things tidy as well. Get that rate climbing. That additional pace, though, that gives the Zimbabwe batsman a bit more to work with. The pitch is good. Fine legs up in the ring, everyone on the leg side back.
And that's going to be a good start. Actually, I thought that went a little bit finer. It's been collected by deep square there. I just thought he'd got enough on it to get past 45, but a thicker edge than I thought. Difficult from our viewing position here.
Yeah, that equation not getting any easier. Zimbabwe need boundaries. They need them quick.
Well, it was that onslaught really in the last over. And Garava going for 30. It had everything that last over, really. No balls, free hits. And really, that's where the damage has laid for this Zimbabwean team.
Nicely played into the gap on the leg side, thinking about 2. Least does well, restricts it to 1. Yeah, absolutely. I think if we were to look at scores on a comparable basis, Zimbabwe pretty much in line with where Scotland were in their setup of the chase.
Yeah, well, when you consider too that Zimbabwean spinners Mazakadze and Williams, their 4 overs only yielded 21 runs and they weren't asked to bowl again.
It's well played, clever batting from Shumba. Thought that was finer as well.
And the other thing I'm sure that really impressed you, Preston, was particularly the running between McLeod and Berrington. They really put Zimbabwe under huge pressure.
Yeah, they did. And that's certainly, I know when I was playing here for Scotland, there was a big thing for us. We know it's not an easy ground to field on, particularly around the edge of the rope. It is quite bumpy and quite hilly in parts. So if you're not used to it, putting those men in the outer ring under pressure can bring good reward. And that's a great shot. That's a beautiful shot in the gap between long on and cow corner. He gets a boundary.
That's a super shot. He let that come on, played it under his eyes and got it wide of long on and deep mid-wicket. Excellent shot from Madavira, this. High quality.
High quality indeed. Straight bat, low risk cricket, and gets good reward.
It's funny actually, I only played on this ground once in a club tour when we played against Scotland all those years ago. Went to places like Brodie Ferry, mostly in Glasgow. We played our international cricket against Scotland with Ireland.
Looks like he's going to get away with that one.
That's the 60-degree wedge, Preston, that is.
Well bowled by Chris Saul. I think it's just a slower ball that's just done Madaviri in the air there. Lucky to get away with that one, but good variation and good execution.
That could be a chance, but slow to react. McLeod there out at long on. And again, there was an incident earlier in the match. And Garava the same, slow to react. But probably should have been caught that really, Preston.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he didn't quite pick that up. It was an interesting shot from Shumba, just a little check flip. Not sure what he was trying to do there. He gets away with it.
And there you have it. 110 now with 5 to go. So 68 required from the remaining 30 deliveries, over 2 a ball, and it's going to be a big ask for Zimbabwe. But they're going to need a big over at some stage.
They are going to need that, but I think they need to keep telling themselves that they're still in this game. So it's one big one away. They can just still be in there the last 2 overs, give themselves a chance. It's been a fantastically poised series, all 3 games, each game going down to the last. Hopefully we can see the same today.
Well, with whatever they can muster in the middle of an over, they're going to probably need certainly 2 boundaries an over from here on in, whether it's over the ropes or along the ground, because it's a big ask. But as you say, they've got to keep believing.
It's going to be a change at the nursery end. Richie Berrington coming on. He'll be looking to tie up the sand ball, a few slower balls into the wicket, get the batters hitting to that bigger side of the field.
Well, it would possibly be fitting, Preston, because he's been a model of consistency through this series. Wonderful player. Richie Berrington scores of 81, 44, or 42, should I say, in game 2, and 44 today. And he's been really brilliant through this series for Scotland. Wonderful cricketer, Richie Berrington, model of consistency.
Looks like it'll just be the one. Yeah, he's been in fantastic form for his country. Great for him as they leave for the UAE in a couple of days. Long may that form continue.
And of course, in the second game, became the most capped Scottish cricketer.
Yeah, 250 caps for his country. What an achievement that is in any sport. Kept fit, kept healthy, kept in good form. Fantastic guy off the field as well. Great to see.
Oh, that's big from Milton Shumba. That's going to be 6 of the best from him. It went high over square leg, and certainly Milton Shumba hasn't shown any signs that he doesn't believe that Zimbabwe can get over the line. Great shot from him. Gets himself...
Certainly is capable. Shumba showed in that first game. It was only real Zimbabwe batsmen that gave them a fighting chance as they fell 10 short. A few lusty blows then, and that certainly was another. Pressure onto Barrington.
That's good fielding out there. McLeod rushing over to his teammate Sol, who was able to parry the ball to him, prevent a further run. That's good cricket from Scotland.
Worked away too long on. Good comeback there from Richie Barrington. 10 off the over so far. 2 balls to come. Zimbabwe would like to make this one of their big ones. Important Richie can get out of this over without conceding another.
Can be a bit of a frightening prospect bowling at this stage of a T20. But he's done well there, taking pace off Richie Barrington. And you can see there Madavira giving Shumba the signal. He was through the shot there before the ball had even arrived.
Hit the gap again. It's well placed. Brilliant work out there. Top work. 2 men. Well run. They come back for the second. It's 12 off Barrington's over.
Yeah, so there we are. Zimbabwe 122 for 3 with 4 to go. So the equation is straightforward. 56 now required from the remaining 24 balls. And you sense a very big over is required at this stage. And I suppose if Zimbabwe are to lose this series, they'll reflect on 2 last overs. Jongwe in game 1 going for 22 in his final over. And today Ngarava 30, which would have been least expected because he's really been the model of consistency, both through the Ireland series, which you mightn't have seen, Preston, but also in this series. Wonderful, collecting the man of the match game 2, quite deservedly so.
And that ties in with the theme throughout their bowling innings of not being able to close out overs, balls 5 and 6 going for crucial boundaries. Just a little bit of lack of discipline there in finishing off overs. And all those certainly add up and put unnecessary pressure back on their bowling attack.
Well, tell me about that, Preston, please.
Wow, what a shot that is. Just picked up a length. Ali Evans going to his hard length, his best ball. Shumba up to the task. He's not going to hang around here. There's no real option for Zimbabwe other than to try and find that rope. What a start that is to the 17th over.
And there's the teapot from Ali Evans. And when your first ball goes for 6, it can be disconcerting. I remember watching that famous England-West Indies game. 19 required from the final over. And I said to the fellow beside me in the pub, if the first ball goes for 6 here, I'm predicting a West Indies win.
Carlos Brathwaite.
Remember the name.
Oh, we remember the name, that's for sure. What a game that was. Does the Zimbabwe team have a Brathwaite in their lineup?
They might just do, because that's gone for 6 as well. And the Zimbabweans in the crowd here are on their feet. 2 from 2 from Milton Shumba.
And rightly so. Is this the over, the momentum shifter? There's been a lot of up and downs throughout this series. Just when you think one team has firm control of a game, we've seen it sway and sway again. Is this one of those moments?
Remember the name Milton Shumba, because that's out of the ground as well. That is an extraordinary shot. 18 from 3 balls, Preston Mossman. Remember the name Milton Shumba.
Well, this is quite incredible stuff. It's just hip high from Evans. And Shumba gets that front leg out of the way, and how quick are his hands?
And his tennis terms, it's new balls, please. As the third umpire comes out with the next set of balls. What a remarkable effort this is so far from Milton Shumba. 48 now he is from 21 deliveries. Shades of Munzi in this, but at a different stage. In the pressure on, he's done brilliantly, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been absolutely superb. Just given Zimbabwe a fighting chance here. Now they really are back in it. So a 4-man meeting out in the middle there. Fast bowlers convention. Working out a plan. How can they get away with a dot ball or a single? What are the options for Evans?
Well, a difficult time this for Ali Evans. Not easy, but you've got to take your hat off to Milton Shumba here. Brilliant effort from him.
I think one thing is clear. Shumba likes that leg side. He's going to give himself every opportunity to open up that front leg, deposit the ball over the ropes. I think Ali Evans needs to think about that wide Yorker, bring in the offside, make it difficult for him to hit his strength.
And that out to McLeod. And things have settled down all of a sudden again. Preston, but Ali Evans held his nerve there, just a wee bit slower, but he's really under the cosh here. How will Madavira react here? He's surely got to look to go here.
Surely. This is the big over, 19-4. Can they convert at 25-30?
They certainly can, because that's gone out of the ground as well from Madavira. Unbelievable hitting this from Shumba and now Madavira.
Well, this is quite unbelievable. Game-changing over from these two. Evans looking for the Yorker. He gets it wrong. Turns into a full toss and it's put away. That's ease from Madavira.
Well, this is quite extraordinary. It really is extraordinary, this. 3 sixes, 4 sixes in this over, 25 so far. And now Madavira joining the party. Shumba has taken the lead, and really, 2 minutes ago, we were probably thinking of packing our bags, Preston, and it was going to be a comfortable Scottish victory. Not anymore.
Still one ball to go here for Evans. Can he pull this thing back? Oh, it's well done. Good finish from him.
And that's tough. That's a tough over, 25. A tough over for Scotland, a great over for Zimbabwe. And for the crowd here, an exciting finish. And it's what you want from T20 cricket. And it's all up for grabs. 31 required from the last 18 deliveries. And really you feel that Sharif has to come back into the attack. The mastermind of the death for Scotland. Many conferences that go on these stages. But at the end of the day, Preston, you turn to your best exponent of death bowling. And that is Shafran Sharif.
Yeah, he's been superb in the first two games. Seems to hit his Yorkers whenever called upon. That equation now just 10 runs and over. 3 overs left, 31 required. This game very evenly poised.
And that's well bowled from Sharif. He's going to err on the full side here. He bowls lovely cutters as well. I'm sure he'll be taking pace off it, but that's a great 50 from Milton Shumba from 22 deliveries. And he's taken Zimbabwe from death really to an opportunity to win this game. And he is loving it out there.
Worked away too long on. I'll just be the single. This is a great test for the Scotland men. Can they embrace the stage of the game?
Well, I suppose they're the sorts of things, Preston, coach on the sideline, will be thinking to himself, we need these types of situations because this is what Scotland are going to encounter in the World Cup. Can they get through them? You're going to go through periods in matches when things don't go your way. How do you react?
There is a Sharif Yorker, brilliantly executed. Just the one again, showing his skill here. 3 balls from him, 3 singles. Superb stuff.
Well, I remember that England game vividly and his performance at the death in that game. Older ball, getting those induckers going with that kind of slingy action of his. That delivery was absolutely brilliant. And he's showing that type of nerve right now, but every ball is important, Preston.
Absolutely. Madaviri will be thinking boundary here. Fine leg up, 3rd man up. And there is his boundary. Use the pace of Sharif. Sharif just slightly wrong with his line.
And he got wood on it as well. Again off the pad, and Scottish fielders in desperation trying to get to it. A very valuable boundary for Madavira and his team. So 2 to go. Every ball is a big ball right now. Wonderful chase this from Zimbabwe. We wouldn't have thought it 8 or 10 minutes ago.
Worked away, deep square leg, just going to be the single. Well bowled by Sharif, a change up there. Slower ball into the wicket.
Well, with 10s required, this over's already gone for 8. And if this ball finds the ropes, you feel, not necessarily, but it's possibly Zimbabwe's to lose. Well, I'm afraid it could be Zimbabwe's to lose because Shumba has delivered again and he's put it over the ropes. Another Dorothy Dixon. Hands on hips. Massive disappointment, but really now Zimbabwe are in the box seat.
You have to say, is this Shumba's day? What a strike once again. Sharif, who's hits his Yorkers all day, just goes and put Phil on that one. And Shumba hitting the ball the way he is, does not miss out on that. equation now, certainly in Zimbabwe's favor. 17 from 12. It's going to be Chris Soul called upon to deliver for his team. And what a comeback this has been. Is there another twist in the tail?
Well, they talk about penultimate overs, and it was Ngarava in game 2 who delivered. Can Chris Soul do it here for his country? That is the question. Kyle could see it. They've obviously got to devise where they're going to go. There's a bit of arm waving going on, but they've got to just settle themselves down and decide where that's likely to be. So we've got a scattered leg side field, understandably the shorter side of the ground, the leg side for Madavira. But it doesn't seem to matter to Milton Shumba what side of the ground he's hitting to. Well bowled, Chris Soul. That's excellent from him.
Oh, he wants to.
And he's gone! Madavira's gone! The dive hasn't been good enough for him. Mark Hawthorne has the finger up, and he is desperately disappointed, but a brilliant piece of fielding in the deep. And he did look short, it has to be said, Preston.
You have to wonder what the thinking is here. Is it really worth that extra run? These two in absolute control of the game. Partnership approaching 100.
Well, I have to agree with you there. What was the need for the risk on that? Your partner has got 57 from 25 deliveries. Was it really required? He's quick, but he wasn't quick enough. And he didn't get in, and he's gone.
Ryan Burl, the new man in, hasn't had a huge amount of middle time in the series thus far. But he's got one job here, and that's to get Shumba on strike.
Well, if you go back to game 1, that was the thing they couldn't do. They couldn't get Shumba back on strike. And you're absolutely right. He's just got to get bat on ball here anywhere and get Shumba facing virtually every delivery between now and the end of this match. Of course, often you can't do it on your own, and Burl has a role to play here. 11 deliveries left.
Game 2, Scotland needed 39 from the final 5. They couldn't manage it. Game 3, Zimbabwe needs 17 from the last 12 balls. Can they manage that? Good batting from Burl, doing exactly that job we spoke about.
Isn't it interesting, Preston, situation like that, particularly where Chris Soul was bowling, would you squeeze, try and keep Burl on strike, get 2 dots. Berrington was on the edge of the circle. I think sometimes what you've got to do is you've got to gamble in these situations.
You absolutely do. Couldn't agree more.
Because the big man is ready to go, and how is Chris Soul going to react? You feel he's got to really try and be as full as he can here, Preston.
Yeah, middle coming up into the ring. I wonder if he's thinking about that wide Yorker option. Oh. And it's going Shumba's way. Thick outside edge. The third man has absolutely no chance. Chris Soul looking for that wide Yorker. Execution not quite there. Shumba gets another boundary.
That's extraordinary hitting this from Milton Shumba. Chris Soul missing his length. And in the space of 15 minutes, you're looking around at this Scottish team and there's a lot of quietness, wondering where to go. Good from Soul. So you're Ryan Burrell, Preston. From here, what do you do? Do you regard these 2 deliveries as a free hit? Or do you get Shumba back on strike for the last delivery and take the final over out of the equation? Potentially.
Potentially, I think absolutely. If you can get ahead, why not? Exactly as Burl did in his first delivery he faced. Good composure. Knew what he had to do to get off strike. Played the ball nice and late. Fine leg up, third man up. Probably going to be a slower ball here from Chris Saul. Nicely played, maybe to...
Oh, wow. It was the right call. It was the right call, Preston, because the ball came forward from Leisk. Oh, it's a no ball.
Oh.
Dear oh me. From the Scottish perspective. Even better for Milton Shumba.
Yeah, I wonder if Shumba heard that call and he wanted the strike. Definitely the right call for him to keep that strike if that was the case. 8 runs required. Who would have thought?
And that's straight down the ground, and that looks to be 4 runs it is from Milton Shumba. What an innings this has been from him.
This has been some knock. Straight down the ground. Great control from Shumba, and that's been a key feature of his innings, the way he's hit his boundaries. Once he gets going, he certainly is tough to stop. Such an exciting talent.
Well, you did say 5 overs ago this was still on, Preston. And it looks as if they're going to get over the line with about, certainly, if not 6 balls to spare, very few more. An extraordinary effort this from Zimbabwe.
Incredible stuff. Just shows T20 cricket how quickly things can change.
I'm shaking my head here.
A bit of brilliance from one player. I'm still trying to work out what exactly has happened myself. I'm sure the Scotland guys are. Oh.
And that's what happens, Preston. Heads go awry, throw in from deep. And what a performance this is from Milton Shumba.
Absolutely. It will be another final over finish. Only 2 required. Ryan Bull will be the man to take strike. But I'll give him both.
Oh, we're in a state of shock here. Pens on paper, man of the match, player of the series. It's all happening out here. But it's all happened in 20 minutes, Preston. It has been remarkable what we've just witnessed.
Yeah, you look at the Scotland players out there, they can't believe this. It's the game, the series was there for the taking. A full member series win. They don't come by very often, and this will go down as a huge missed opportunity.
And that is it. That is it. Burrell strokes that through the offside. And Milton Shumba raises his arm to his teammates, and quite rightly so. What an effort from him. 66 from 29 deliveries has taken Zimbabwe from the dead to winning this match with 5 balls to spare. What we've seen here has been utterly remarkable, and Zimbabwean fans are on their feet. They're dancing in the streets of Harare. They're dancing in the streets of Bulawayo, and what a victory for them.
Well, what a treat this has been. Milton Shumba, the 20-year-old. Absolutely incredible stuff. Thought the game was dead and buried. He had other plans. He certainly came to the party. We will be remembering the name.
Well, we've mentioned remember the name 3 times, and look at Matavira. Look at what it means to them. A fantastic victory for them, and it just proves you are never, ever, ever out of the game in T20 cricket. And Milton Shumba has provided that today. Wonderful entertainment from him. Look at his teammates. They are the moments you adore in cricket, Preston Muntsman.
Absolutely. Tough tour away from home. Things haven't quite gone their way in Ireland, but they've held firm. They've come to Edinburgh, and they'll walk away with a fantastic series victory. You've got a feel for the Scottish lads, though. They thought they had this series wrapped up, but things weren't quite to be.
Well, not, and you just wonder when they go into that change room with heads in hands, what they will be thinking, because that game was just simply taken away from them in the last 20 minutes of this match by some incredible hitting by Milton Shumba. It's actually been a wonderful series, Preston. I've really, really enjoyed it, and so glad that this picture is from Cricket Scotland YouTube. They've been able to enjoy this series, hopefully as much as we did.
Absolutely. Each game thoroughly competitive, going down to the wire. Swaying one way, swaying the other way, as it did today. Spare a thought for Ali Evans. All that tough over.
And there you are. There's your match summary. Absolute carnage at the start from George Munsey and Richie Berrington and Callum McLeod. And in the end, Michael Lease taking to what we believed was a total that was going to be far out of the reach of Zimbabwe. But they have proved everyone wrong. And a most magnificent reply. And they were the bowling figures. Again, we kind of thought to ourselves, and again, probably within the Scottish innings, you look at Mazakadze and Sean Williams, their 4 overs went for 21. And Garava went for 30 in his last over, and that was really the reason that they got to that total of 177 Scotland. But it has to be said, the reply from Zimbabwe, and again they did very well at the beginning, it has to be said, and both teams took pressure off on the power play. Craig Irvine, Chikadva, and obviously that partnership between Madavira, who's had up to this point a disappointing tour. Milton Shumba, the man of the moment, 66 from 29. What do you say about that, Preston?
Absolutely superb. There are the Scotland figures. Shafi and Sharif couldn't quite get his Yorkers today as he had the last few days. Spinners were good through the middle, tied things up nicely. Michael Leask in particular looked in good form again with the ball. Unfortunately, Ali Evans, that expensive over that really gave Zimbabwe the chance to get back into the game. Unfortunately, couldn't take wickets as regularly as they would have liked to stem the flow of runs.
Extraordinary. What a finish. Wonderful conclusion to the match. Zimbabwe taking the series 2-1. An amazing chase, really, that happened in the last half hour of this match. And Milton Shumba, man of the moment, probably the innings of his life, I would have thought. I'll be asking him that in the post-match because he has been the star of the show. So there we are, the conclusion of the Wolf 7-7 T20 series between Scotland and Zimbabwe. Absolutely wonderful games of cricket we've had here. Every one of them exciting. And it's been great to bring you the coverage. Cricket Scotland YouTube in conjunction with HBV Studios. Wonderful 3 days of cricket here in the Grange Cricket Club and a fantastic finish to the season. And at the conclusion of this match and the 3-match series, I'd like to thank everyone who's watched this Wolf 777 T20 series. It's been wonderful to bring you the coverage, and it's bye-bye from us.